Hello everyone and welcome to the Lightbringers podcast. I hope you are very well today and you are enjoying your awesome week. And you have missed us very much because we haven't been here for a while. I'm glad that today is the day we've come back after like 3 weeks of being missing because it is a big studio update. There is lots to talk about. We have all our friends here. I don't know which episode we're on. It doesn't matter because the studio update just takes priority, okay? It takes priority. There's a lot going on. We're excited. You're excited. I hope you're good. Make sure you check out the Lightbringers podcast on all the things, on iTunes, on Google, on Twitch, on youtube.com/Jebro as well. Make sure you chuck a comment below as well. Tell us what you think about the actual update, how everything's going in the game for you right now. We know it's been very quiet, but there's a lot to go through, and you probably got us for about 2 hours-ish today, maybe. So, you know, lots of chatter. I want to hear all your opinions as well in the chat of what's going on with the update and your communities, how you're feeling about it, what you're looking forward to. And if there's anything we don't pick up today as well, make sure you leave a comment on the YouTube video or just in the chat. So we have a chat about it as well. We've got the whole team here. We've got Crew, we've got Fornax, we've got Boots, we've got Rookery as well. I hope everyone is very good and no one interrupted me. That's what happens when no one interrupts. It's actually a decent intro. That could be the first in 100 episodes. So
Jebro threatened us beforehand. We had to stay silent. He's about to dox all of us.
It was brutal. It was brutal. I'm not going to lie. But you know what? We behaved. And I think also we're just excited. We're excited for the podcast and all the blog posts and everything. So we're just like letting you do what you do, Jebro, I guess.
I am excited. It is a big deal. The studio update came out this week. What was the day of the thing? May 1st. You know, it wasn't April 1st. That would have been awful. But like April 1st is the studio update. Wow, this is so good. They could have actually done that and had elite specializations, and that would have been kind of funny. And then put this out on May 1st, and I'm joking, that would have been awful.
They should get diabolical with their April 1st blog posts. Like, I don't want like...
Or just completely troll people.
I want like full troll, like... We're adding the Bard spec for Mesmer. Like, just say things that they know.
No, Kroof, don't do that. That one is horrible.
And that's why I'm not the community manager. I would be.
Well, they are looking for a community manager right now, aren't they? Like, there's like a full-on ad out there as well. Yeah. So if you want to go and apply for community manager,
influencer manager.
Is it an influencer manager? Well, there you go.
I am both an influencer and a man.
An influencerist.
Influences.
I kind of like that as a word. I'm pretty sure it's not a word, but I mean it can be if you want it. Bruce is just staring. Tell us a little bit about what you do and where you do it. Crew, for example.
Oh wow, not expecting me first.
Oh my gosh.
You know what? Get out of the way because I can just sit back and chill. But hi everyone, I'm Kroof. I do a bunch of videos over on my YouTube, which you can find at Kroof, Kroof, like roof, but with a K. I also stream here on Twitch every so often. I'm also a really funny person, so you can go and subscribe. Or not.
That was funny. I did laugh. That was actually good. It's like roof, but with a K. I don't think I've ever heard that one before. Fornax can't go to sleep because it's your turn to give yourself a cheeky little intro. You've gone AFK, so Rookery.
Yeah, she's gone AFK. Thus the.
Was that an AFK or was that you I just started talking and you got bored?
No, sorry. I needed more light. My camera wasn't catching my avatar's eyes being open because it's so dark in my room. So I've just ran around and put some lights on. I'm sorry.
Okay. Do you want to talk now?
Oh, is it my turn? Fuck.
It is. No.
Come
on, you're out of practice.
You just streamed for like a long time. Did you swear on your own stream? I don't know. Did you?
Probably.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I did quite a lot because it's very stressful. Anyway, I'm Fornax the Crichton Herald. I make Guild Wars 2 content over on YouTube, and occasionally I stream World v World here in and things like that.
And swear.
That's that.
You had a new video coming out this week, right?
I
Plug.
do. I plug videos. Okay, yes. So I have 2 videos out on the channel at the moment. One doing a lore speculation about the concept art, which dropped as a teaser for the next expansion, which is coming hopefully quite soon. And then there is a video that I posted today, which is a deep dive comparing Path of Fire and Season 4 to what we can expect with the new expansion cadence and what we've been told is going to be getting to see, to try and kind of compare as to how much bang for buck we're going to be getting in terms of like delivery, because it's a shorter cadence but more content over the same period is what they kind of like the premise. So it's a real super deep dive on that, and I talk about the requirement to overhaul bosses like Saitan because they're talking about overhauling the older game. But yeah, it's hugely long, like 25 minutes of me just rambling and my husband occasionally talking. Oh yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, we will hear your husband talking today.
We will, and you'll think I'm a very lucky girl. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
That is so
very
sweet.
sweet.
I love that so much.
it is.
Okay.
Oh
That's
god,
it. You
all
carry
these
on.
people with partners, it's just gross.
Disgusting. Yuck.
Rookery, tell us a thing or two about you.
Hi everybody, I'm Rook and I am disgusting. How are you all doing?
Good intro.
No, hey, I'm Rook. I do a lot of MMORPG content, most specifically Final Fantasy XIV and Guild Wars 2, but as a lot of you know, I've also been doing things with World of Warcraft recently, and I just got back into playing it, and Dragonflight is actually really cute and I really love it. It's like a really adorable story about epic heroes. The dragons are the cutest part, and I love the environments, and I really have enjoyed a lot of that. So that's been really interesting.
Good.
But I typically stream 14 in Guild Wars 2. I do it over on Twitch, twitch.tv Rookery, and I also make videos for YouTube, although I'm kind of the reverse of Kroof and Fornax in that I primarily stream and do live content in places and then create YouTube videos when I'm able. I do this podcast. I also do Eighth Right Radio podcast for 14, and I have a lot of other shoutcasting stuff and hosting stuff coming up this month, so keep an eye out. I'm hoping we can get some Guild Wars 2 stuff added into the mix, because I've been doing a lot of 14, a lot of WoW, but we need some more Guild Wars 2 events to cast.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Oh
I'm
my
ready for another
god.
map tour with you, darling.
I
whenever
will
you want.
sign on with you, Rook, at any time.
Okay, great, crew, perfect. And yes,
Except
Fornax,
Monday through Thursday. I'm working at my
Okay.
retail job.
that makes sense. You gotta do no, Chipotle. Chipotle.
I used to call it Chipotle because I had no idea what Chipotle was. When I was in England, it was always Chipotle to loads of people, everyone. It was like, oh, Chipotle, let's go Chipotle.
Just like tacos. You want to get some tacos?
It's just like the
Yeah,
recent
tacos. I thought it was
TikTok that-
tacos. My dad says tacos. It was like I thought it was
Also-
taco. I thought it was tacos. I know his dad. A taco is something that people put in their truck to like record their miles they drive. That's not taco.
I
not
feel like
taco?
it's tacos for all Canadians, so it's fine. Tacos is fine.
Oh!
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's wrong and it's not
It is
fun.
wrong.
So
I mean,
That's wrong.
honestly, true, because, Mexican food in Canada is...
Yep. But Fordax, it's so funny you bring up that lore tour, because I was literally just about to message you today about exactly that. So yeah, keep an eye out for that, everybody, too.
Excellent. Maybe I
Can't
should
wait.
do
Who's
a
next?
Stronghold Lightbringers tournament. That could be a messy.
Yes.
It'd be a
Please.
2-round tournament.
Look, I'll take any kind of content. I would love to just see more. I would love to see
me
more community tournaments, even just for funsies with
We
Guild
could do a
Wars 2.
Lightbringers one. We can do some Lightbringers events. It's possible. There's enough people that like it. Oh wow.
Sign me
Okay.
up.
Anyway, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Did you read that person's name?
I don't actually read, so but we've employed Fornax's husband to read, so
Oh, very good.
for
very
free.
good.
This is
I mean,
correct, yes.
no,
This is
you
his
can
new
give
job
him
now.
snuggles. That is the thing you can pay him with.
For a second, I thought you were just telling everybody in general that you could give, like, we could all give Fornax's husband snuggles. And I was like,
I mean, you can if you want. But I'm pretty sure Fornax's
Remember your
husband's fine
safe
with that.
word, people. That's all I ask. That's all I ask.
It's gooseberry. Boots. Tell us what you doing. Where you doing?
I'm Boots. You can find me at World of Enders on YouTube. I make videos. Recently, I've just been making a lot of adventure videos. I've been trying to do all the adventures and get very good times on them. Taking a little break from it because I learned something that has destroyed me. And I'm waiting to hear back about whether should mention it in any videos before making any new videos about adventures. So yeah. And so that'll be
I want to know.
No.
Message me.
Whisper
that'll
that
be
to me.
next. And I also, do stuff here sometimes with WP. Find me on YouTube.
Excellent.
Boots is going to Japan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll take pictures. I'm not gonna make a video or anything, but I'll send
Nobody
you
is
some
jealous. There's
We're all
no
very
jealousy whatsoever. No.
I saw your reply on Twitter to me.
Having a long flight, couldn't be me.
Love you. Send
Absolutely
photos,
amazing.
please.
I will, and I'll Photoshop you into them.
Nice.
I appreciate
The
it.
avatar?
Yeah,
Pretty
for
good.
Avatar, exactly.
Okay, I'm just doing a little sorty sort because I had to change my audio. What I have to do is I have to change a little bit of thing because Crown Herald's husband is going to come in and do some reading, but he is recorded and will be floating in. But all the cameras have just readjusted and everything because I had to change the setting, and I'm not sure why. So I'm just trying to sort that out for a second. But studio update, it is 3,000-ish words. We do tend to read the things sometimes, and I'm wondering, hopefully everyone can still hear me the same as I was before. I'm just double checking.
Sound good to me.
Okay, good. And so, yeah, we are not going to read it all. I know we have in the past, but we're not. Someone else is, and also it's not all of it. So there's that. But they kind of started off just kind of telling us, just going through everything again, because they basically think that not everyone kind of read the last one, which is totally possible because it was like 10 years ago. But so they were just reiterating on the fact that we are going to have a new wave of expansions coming out possibly every year with all the updates that come along with that, the quarterly updates rather than the 2 to 4 years release of all the things in terms of like an expansion and then the living world, blah blah blah, that we've had basically since 2013 14-ish or 15 actually, I suppose. So yeah, I'm going to play that audio and we're going to be going through kind of, if you do want to follow along on the blog post, it's 2 questions above where they say about the spring summer roadmap update. Now, general feelings and thoughts. How do we feel about a studio update that came out this week? And no specific details, but how are you feeling about the fact that we actually got an update? That's exciting, right? Exciting in itself.
Overwhelmingly positive. I'm so happy and energized. I am so ready for the future. Let's go.
See, that's exactly what I
1%.
wanted. That's exactly what I wanted. The energy there was it's also just me trying to make
I liked it. It was a positive message.
Yes, this is a great blog post. It was so exciting to see. I immediately saw the community just, respond to it and have more details and be excited about this. I think so many of us are really excited about the future of Guild Wars 2. So this was wonderful. We always say, of course, we would like this in a video announcement format. That is the big thing. I would like a big video announcement. I would like more information. I would like this stuff there. But all of that aside, this is so good. And it's really, really wonderful to see all that they decided to share with us and to have some more insight.
Good.
Yeah, I agree with Rook. It would have. It's 3,000 words. They could have really milked a Twitch stream with this. They could have had us talking to devs.
God.
They could have shared a little bit of teaser artwork. We could have talked to the teams. We could have talked about how they're going to do these elite specialization replacements differently. They could have really kind of done this is a huge amount of information, and I'm super happy that they've given us this information, but the delivery system is faulty.
Yeah, but it's
Try again.
3,000 words. Who could possibly say 3,000 words in a row? I don't think I could. So yeah, you couldn't do it online. You can do it in a video. I don't think.
No.
Fornax's husband can do it.
I mean,
What?
all of this could definitely have been done in the video. I completely agree. It's just too much information for people to get, like, you know, for the just casual Guild Wars 2 player. I just don't know if they're going to read it. But that's the thing. We can, that's why we do it. Like, so we can give you content and be like, oh, yeah, look at us. As you are on your morning drive to your maybe, hopefully, awesome job that everyone definitely has. You can listen to our awesome voices. And also, you can listen to Fornax's. Can I like call your husband something else other than Fornax's husband?
So his online persona.
That's his only identity, Jebro. That's his only identity.
What is his name? His
Chactal.
avatar name?
Check?
Jack.
Like
Chactal.
Jack Jarrett?
Like Jack Jarrett?
Yeah.
CHAK. Jack. TAL.
Jack, like Jack Jarrett.
Chactal. I have no idea who that is. So.
Yes, you do.
No, like a Jack
Guild
Jarrett
Wars
from Guild Wars 2, the
And
boss
it's also the
in
Jack
the bottom of
Garrett.
the Tangled Depths.
Because one's chalk
I'm gonna Chack.
and one's chack.
And
But
one
they're
is
both
Jack.
the same.
Okay.
And they are run on a track.
This is brand new information to me, man. Like I'm like, you know those
You're
like
married
aura
to Jack?
mind things.
You married a Jack
No,
Garrett.
Fornax,
There
I
you
would
go.
have thought it'd be pretty obvious that your husband was a check, but I mean,
I mean, your husband,
I-
if
I
he's got the
guess love
Jack
is
egg
blind.
sack,
Some
he's
ley
worth a lot
lines.
of money in the game. So-
Look, it's hearts, not parts for me, darling. I don't know what to say. Yeah.
that's true. You know,
Gotta love the
Oh,
tentacles.
God damn it. Everyone is so
Would you
gross.
describe him more as a Jack Sapper, a Jack Zapper, or the Jarrett? I would say, yeah.
Which ones are more pedantic? I mean, I feel like that's the main
What are you
question.
talking about?
Probably the Sapper. I would say the
Where we go?
Sapper.
Yeah, because they sap your energy while you listen to them.
I mean, so
Correct,
he's
yeah.
like freakishly young, and he looks like freakishly young. So there is like a joke that he's like sucking the youth out of me in the night. So whichever
Oh
one does
my
that, that's probably the one.
Sapper,
such
that
a-
sounds great.
Wonderful
Yeah.
relationship.
Okay, so
I'm really glad you also corrected that so that it wasn't.
Yeah, you said he is
Yeah.
freakishly young, and
My
then
husband
he
is
looks freakishly
freakishly
young.
young.
Is it a combination
Oh,
of the
God,
two?
no,
Is he both freakishly young and looks
No.
young for
He
that
looks
age?
like a
Like-
lung.
he is very youthful. He is actually a few years older than I am. I've not made a list. I promise. I promise.
Okay, all right.
All right, let's do
Shit,
this.
I get
Let's hear-
myself.
let's hear
Jedward,
Fornax's-
save me, quick.
What is
Let's hear
happening?
Fornax's chat freakishly young husband.
I hear
Okay.
weird things happen in Northern England.
What can I say?
In all of
There's
England.
not much to do up there. There ain't much to do up there.
That's true.
No, I will say, you know what? I'm not even, because the news was so good, because we're so hyped, because we're so excited. It doesn't even matter that there wasn't a video or a live stream of this, because we get to share this with all of you, and we're excited to get to be the delivery of information about Fornax's love life, and also about news and updates on Guild Wars 2 with everybody, so that we can all be hyped together. So I'm ready for this. I'm
Aw.
excited.
Just like your favorite delivery service, knock knock, FBI, open up.
Okay, so Chuck is going to read some bits and pieces. We're going to go over the first question and we'll talk
Piss.
about it. This is the February studio updates about
Piss
combat
queen.
features. What?
Don't worry about it. It's fine. We're fine. We're fine. We're
Okay.
adults and mature, and we can
All
do
right.
this. We can be
Can
professional.
you hear this in the Discord call?
Question. The February studio
You can? Okay. So this is the question. All right, this is amazing. All right, tell me if you can't hear it, chat. All right, we'll talk afterwards.
update said that future expansions would include combat features and didn't mention elite specializations at all. What does that mean? In the current design and implementation of elite specializations, we feel that with every new expansion, there's been increasingly limited design space left to add new and differentiated roles for each profession. In other words, most of the playstyles that we'd like to see supported for each profession already exist or should exist within their existing elite specialization options. With our next expansion, our goal is to further augment the combat options for each profession by adding new tools to their arsenal and by lifting constraints that will unlock an unprecedented number of playstyle customization options, while keeping the feel of Guild Wars 2 combat true to its origins. Theory crafters are going to be very busy.
Oh, lovely. Look at that. Woo! Some good ass ChatGPT.
So I will say that when he did a video on my channel, he did garner a little bit of a gay following, and I'm fine with
King.
that. Yeah,
It's good.
Ally.
I like
Okay, so let's go through this. And thank you very much to Jack as well. I appreciate it. Okay, so there's a lot here actually, just in this first thing. Elite specializations, as if you've not been playing Guild Wars 2 for very long, has been the main feature of, well, what other than a map, a new region maybe on a story, but like it's pretty much one of the biggest expansion features that you can have for Guild Wars 2. Like that's why people kind of spend that money, right? And that's not going to be the next expansion at the very least. Like, we don't know about past that, but at the moment we know that probably this is not a thing, and it's going to be different, whether or not that's new weapons, whether that's new ways of designing traits, whether that's, having elite specializations playing together, and there's no such thing as an elite specialization anymore, because that would be sick.
That would be impossible.
Oh, is it impossible, though?
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. We're going to talk about it. That's the point, right? Like, we talk about the impossible as well, because that's fun.
Okay.
But they're also doing a lot of things that they actually said were kind of impossible to do as well, like 5 or 6 years ago, in terms of like original code of the game. Like, we're transitioning to new DX, 11, all this kind of stuff. So the impossible,
I just mean,
never say
like,
never,
if
my friend.
you wanted to be a scourge
Reaper.
harbinger, how would that work?
You choose your top
I
thing.
have an idea.
Yeah. Okay, what would you do, Cruyff? What would you do?
Well, you have 3 trait lines, and the bottom trait line is framed with a special gold outline. So whichever one is in the bottom one takes precedent for the profession mechanic change.
Oh, like it.
I said that so smoothly.
It
Oh
was
my
very
god, my
good.
brain.
It was like
Yeah,
you believed
that-
it.
I mean,
Nailed it.
Twinkly.
Absolutely, I love that
could
idea.
work. That could work.
Like,
The
because you
trait-
So
can.
Some of them
all
would
the
be dead,
profession
though.
mechanics work for the scourge. Like, you're basically a scourge, but you get the utility skills, weapon, and some traits that do stuff sometimes, but not other times of the harbinger.
Yeah.
If you have anything traded specifically, and we have seen them, which might be a future topic that we discuss in this blog post, but they are stripping away a lot of that design within traits where you feel like you have to take that trait in order to utilize utility skills or use a weapon, just to give you some more freedom in your choices.
Yeah, this is very interesting. I mean, out of everything that we had in this update, I think this is probably the one section that will still give people the most trepidation in a sense, just because I think until we know what's coming and we know what's going to happen, a lot of players, I think rightfully, are kind of nervous, and I think that's completely fair. Like, if you heard no more elite specializations and you yourself went, oh no, it's okay. But the vast majority of players, I think, and even like we've talked about on the podcast before, I think the vast majority of players have also had this realization where everybody was going, actually, I wouldn't mind if they focused on balancing for a while. I wouldn't mind if they updated some things, even for core classes within all of this. I wouldn't mind if maybe we saw more weapons available, or we saw more flexibility in this, or we saw these things reworked. And we had even speculated previously on the podcast that something like this in this format, not getting elite specs every single time, or getting like a single elite spec, or, having alternatives to this, could very much be a route that they go, and they have taken that route. And I don't think it is a bad thing, because again, it doesn't say we are never going to do this again, you're never going to get new classes, you're never going to get new elite specs. But instead, I get more of the impression that with an expansion coming out each year, that they're going to instead focus on different things. Maybe, you get an overhaul of something, or you get something more thematic, or you get a new weapon added for a class. So kind of shaking up what we might expect to see as new combat, job kind of content. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I honestly feel good about this, and I think it needed to happen at some point.
Okay. Yeah, man.
I want to circle back to Krupp's idea of
Oh.
the way to combine specs. it's clever, but I
As
think
a possibility.
it's clever, but I think that the being able to the coding of the combinations would just be too difficult, and then it would eliminate the possibility of ever adding any new elite specs completely, because then they'd have to code all the new combinations. That would just get like a
Well, they would
monstrosity.
iterate on the systems that
Yeah.
changed though, right? I mean,
Most likely, but
Yeah.
I mean, they could just like disable all the minor traits, because those I would believe are the key traits that activate profession mechanic stuff. I'm not exactly sure, but do I think that is what they're going to be doing? No, but it
Yeah,
was something that
no,
I
it
thought
is.
about
It's a fun
over the
thing.
course
Yeah,
of
I mean
days.
it's like the window to possibility, I think.
Yeah, considering it's so open-ended.
Yeah.
But that's not what I think will happen, nor do I really want that to happen.
well, what do you
Yeah,
think?
yeah.
Let's talk about what we think might be the case, because I think, you know, and people are saying in chat. Let me just pull some stuff from chat here. Someone's mentioned something about weapons and how they read in the past that maybe they thought that all weapons are going to be used by every class. Now that's more likely. There could be a possibility of adding more weapons, or I think there is a hint of being able to use weapons from elite specializations, maybe that
Oh,
aren't.
that sounds like a great idea.
No, it does, doesn't it?
I agree.
Yeah.
But like,
Particularly the line that says lifting constraints. There's already the idea of like, okay, what constraints
Think
do
about
we
them.
have in the current profession system? One might say like, we get to use all of the specs at once, but we had the old trait system which got overhauled. I think there's a siren in the background.
there is, but it sounds cool when you're talking.
I know, it's like, ooh, trouble. Ooh, pause for talent. Every time in my stream when there's a siren, I'm like, pause for talent. But lifting constraints, my go-to is probably the weapons being locked to specific elite specializations.
Is that the first thing you thought of when you heard of it?
I think it was the second thing I thought of. I don't know what it was the most notable thing that I thought of in terms of what could
Yeah, I think it was the
realistically be
first thing
done.
I thought,
Yeah.
just based on the wording of that sentence. Yeah.
So we're going to be able to
Yeah.
use the weapons specifically, and their skills on each class. Just with, they may have to add new ones because it might not make sense, right, for some traits.
For what
Or
are you talking about?
reckon,
What do you mean?
like weapon skills and stuff? Do you think they just keep the same skills that they've got? If
Yeah.
there's no need to change it? Huh?
Oh, from the elite spec to the rest of the core profession?
Yeah. So
Oh.
like, if you get a weapon and like so for example, if you have a torch or like offhand necro, and you just have a core necro, like, would it be worth changing some of the skills, like because it's not
I think
an
it'd be the
elite
same.
spec?
Yeah, it'd be the
Yeah.
same.
The one class where I thought it would be or would require some overhaul was Weaver, but then I was like, no, all of the weapons, all the sword
already
weapons
have the
they already
three.
have their third ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
They just won't get the Weaver ability.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
I really
Yeah,
like
just good
that
point.
this also possibly frees them up to do something, not only to like lift those restrictions, allow you to maybe use elite spec weapons on core classes, or add weapons to existing classes or core or elite spec that make sense for a class, but that just we've never gotten for them. I mean, I think they could do a lot with that to expand it, but I love that this also frees us up for the possibility of like new weapons in a sense that is greater than just an elite spec, you know, but having something where maybe we do get, a new weapon for an expansion. I mean, of course, when we started hearing about this too, I think my mind starts racing. The whole line about theory crafters being really busy, I immediately started thinking, and that little like throwback about Guild Wars 2 Combat staying true to its origins. Of course, immediately I was like, what if they add in, you know, high level monsters and zones that you can get ability drops from? What if they do multi-classing like Guild Wars 1? What if they, like, there's a ton of possibilities, but I think there are some that make more sense, like just these weapon things that are
Just
more
in
basic.
realistic, you know, just
Yeah.
trying. Yeah, exactly.
So,
There are so many possibilities that aren't elite specs that they could do, but then you have to like consider, okay, how would they do this? How much work would this be? They're trying to reduce the amount of work for these, you know, like it's expansion every year. So probably 90% of the reason why they're not going to be doing elite specs, besides the fact that they're reaching a point where, you know, limited design space, is because designing 9 new elite specs is difficult doing it every year, and will be very difficult to balance in the future if you're bringing in nine new elite specs every year. So really what they're trying to do is have something more realistic. So if we have all these far-flung ideas of what they could replace elite specs with, and it's something more intricate than elite specs, probably it's not going to happen. But the weapon idea I think is realistic. Now that I think about it, Jebro, you're right. Things would have to change a little bit, because using one elite specs weapon on a different elite spec, for example, like let's say you use daggers from a warrior on a berserker, it would need a new berserker burst skill.
And also you have traits,
just little things like that.
You also have traits that reduce cooldowns of weapon skills as well, like, things like that.
Well, that's actually the reason. One of the reasons why I think that the weapon thing is a very large possibility is because later on in this blog post they say they're going to be trying to remove all the reduced weapon skill cooldown traits and bake them into the weapons themselves.
Also, here's a big question for you all. And Crown Herald, I think I would like to hear from you first on this, because we haven't heard from you yet. If we get a new weapon, because obviously, does that go to one class or does that go to everyone? Do they develop a weapon for every single class and it's the same one?
I would. So we have kind of like 3 primary groups in the game. It's not like the Trinity, but we have damage, we have support, we have more tanky builds. So they might want to have a weapon for each of these game styles, and then have that weapon have its own unique unique ability, so that way they can constrain it more. So this specific weapon has its own abilities. It's slightly different flavor depending on what class you are, but it's more to do with flavor text rather than
so the
kind
weapon,
of like the fundamental mechanics.
So the weapon is almost like a class in itself, like an elite spec in itself. And for that, is that what you're saying?
So that would be 3 new weapons for each of the core game types every year, and that would so that means that that means you could actually have all 3 of them over your alts. That would mean that you feel like you're getting more content. But I mean, I guess what they could also do, in just generally, is if you look at like games like World of Warcraft, even if you look at the original Guild Wars, they had a much more interesting, much more dynamic skill trees. It is super incredibly limited, the skill trees that we have at the moment. Yeah, I mean, if you look at a World of Warcraft skill tree, it's a deeply complicated affair.
It's so confused.
It is.
But isn't there like in World of Warcraft you have so much choice, but also you don't if you just follow the meta? Like you don't really have that much choice. Isn't it that the case?
I mean,
that's the case for literally everyone.
I mean, I guess so.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's more complicated. I feel like I've heard World of Warcraft players getting confused when they come to Guild Wars as well. I don't know. Maybe it's just.
It's a different ethos, isn't it?
Maybe.
I get what Fornex is saying. I think the complexities of things like the, having your various passive trait lines, the, gear, weapon, ability slots that you're picking at any given time does offer just as much complexity in that sense with Guild Wars 2, because you can't just change up the abilities you have much more frequently. But I also get 100% what Fornex, I think you're trying to say, correct me if I'm wrong, which is that the idea that the actual just skill trees themselves, just alone, offer branching possibilities in World of Warcraft. So as you go down them, you can put multiple points into one thing, you can unlock this, you can go here, you can branch out into different paths, and you can like add more or less to things. So from just like the actual design, when we look at our skill trees now, you have that basically one that you go through and you level up. But I actually think that's a really fascinating idea. Like, what if they overhauled stuff, or they added in some kind of branching trait line at some point, or I don't know. I mean, I think you could do something like that. And Boots, to kind of, I think, counterplay off of what you said, I do think they need to simplify things, but I think we have to also remember that if they are removing something like elite specializations, right, they are still going to need to have something as far as player class identity, combat, interest goes to be big impact items at some point in expansions. So while we might have smaller features that I think still have a big impact, I think they are going to have to do something. Like a branching skill line overhaul. If they're not going to add new elite specializations, we will have to see something that generates the same level of hype and or a new aesthetic or a new possibility for how you play, because otherwise, as we've seen with ESO recently, players get really tired of not having new, even if it's the same, but like having a new rebranded type of class to play. It's a tough place to be in because people do expect that and want to have new ways to engage with the world from a combat perspective.
Right. But when I say simple, I don't mean just like a little thing that isn't that interesting. I mean simple to balance and simple to create doesn't mean not interesting. Sure. Or more simple anyway than 9 elite specs. And I actually do think that we will be getting elite specs eventually again. I don't think it'll be this next expansion. Probably not the one after it, but I think they're probably going to come back in one of the future expansions. Yeah.
It sounds like to me they're trying. So they've said that they want to be able to give people different play styles and different opportunities of gameplay within the existing elite specializations and normal specializations. And the only way I can think to do that is to make those, your build more diverse, adding another more onto the end. So rather than just 3 big choices and intermediate in between that are fixed, so that people can actually like drill down and go, I really want to be tanky, I really want to be more healy, in this build I really want to be this, so that they can and using the attributes or the aesthetic of the elite specialization to do that. It doesn't have to be super like dedicated to the spec. It just has to have the flavor of the elite in order to satisfy that. But I think it's kind of, I mean, it's a baller move because this is a box feature, and I know people who buy the expansions just to get the elite specializations alone. They're not interested in the story, especially people who are focused on PvP and World v World. This is like, you better be giving them something good.
Yeah, that was my
honestly, I am one of those people that besides the story and stuff, I buy expansions because I get new things to play with. Yes. And yeah, I definitely think that each year-long expansion should have something for people like me to play with. And I don't think just balance patches would be enough.
Yeah, I am really hooked onto this paragraph where they say next expansion our goal is further augment the combat options for each profession by adding new tools. That's the new tools. And it's like, I wish they'd just in this post just maybe hinted at something a tiny bit, and just been like, just giving us a little, even if it's like a skill or like a change that they've got in mind. This is a great place where they could give us examples of that, where I think like they can keep trying to hook us in, like they're giving us words and stuff. I just feel like an image or something, like they've done it at the end, like you could pop something in there. I think there could be a little clue or a hint. I don't think they need to be so, I think they're still getting used to this idea of how much do we give away. And like,
well, I will say that considering the time frame of when we might be receiving more information about the expansion, I don't think it'll be too long. Yeah, so I think I wouldn't be too worried about that, considering, you know, in the past we've had larger gaps in between communication. I think we'll probably know more about this relatively soon.
I agree, and I mean, even with the vagary in these paragraphs, I at least still come out of them feeling, not vagary as in like VAGARY, the vague nature of these paragraphs. I don't come out of it feeling negative, right? I really am hopeful for this. And I have seen so many games recently innovate. Guild Wars 2 has innovated so much in ways that are still interesting, still engaging. And I have faith that, I mean, I think this will be a good direction. I think we will still be getting interesting things. And I am really curious about some of this stuff with customization and all this kind of stuff. There's been a lot of discussion about their direction with how they've pushed some things, whether it's the changes to boons, whether it's even some of the kind of outdated things that we had noticed that had kind of stuck out from core classes that over time we were like, yeah, they never really did much with that, did they? Or none of the elite specs really play into that. So I think that this is a great space for them to be able to redesign some stuff. But then also I loved what Fornax was saying specifically about maybe you can solidify your role more. Maybe these tools that they're talking about are things like more dedicated aggro wrangling if you want it, or, that you could use as a tank, or maybe it's maybe there's something like that we just don't know about. And of course there are so many possibilities. Even if they don't add full elite specs, why not make it so that at some point we do get different lines or trait lines or passives, or even repackaging of class aesthetics. I don't know how you would do this, but maybe there are different ways that you could even have cosmetically certain elite specs kind of look, or gaps like Boots pointed out with your chart that they haven't filled in that would give a different kind of play style for some of the specs that are.
I assume that chart is what they're going to be working on going forward, trying to fill in those things, but I don't think those come with the expansions necessarily. Those will just come with the balance patches. And so yeah, there's a lot of things you could do. One of the things I thought about when I was discussing this previously was capture signet from Guild Wars 1, and maybe they could reintroduce the capture signet. And if you're breaking the boundaries between classes, it's because you can
saying that.
Well, not between classes. They said leaving so yeah, we could just talk about, in that case, you could say, what are the constraints you think that each character has?
I think it's constraints within the profession itself.
I
think it's the only thing that I would like to see is just weapons in terms of.
So that's the only. Okay, fine, fair enough.
And I want to point out, not utility skills. I think utility skills should be tied to elite specs, because if we have access to all utility skills, those are much more mix and matchable than something like weapons, because it's only a two-hander or main hand offhand, which would personally, I would not want to deal with that as a balanced dev.
Of course not. Yeah.
Maybe a restriction, thinking about your question, Boots, is something like two-hand or one-hand. Maybe even taking weapons that are two-handed and making some kind of one-handed playstyle for them, or
if you have a great sword in your first hand, then you have the first 3 skills of the great sword skill.
Yeah, maybe they do something like that, where certain classes or across the board you could, dual wield great swords, or use an offhand with one, or have a staff and a focus, or have I think that could also be something kind of interesting. If they aren't just looking at adding new stuff, I think that could possibly let them play with what they already have, but then perhaps give some other options for it.
That would be bad.
I'm going to this conversation, I feel like we can have a podcast on its own, and we may just do that because I realize we have an hour and 15 minutes left, and we've talked about this for about half an hour. So we are going to move shifty on. We're going to have the voice coming back. The voice Shaq is coming back. And we're going to go on to the next question, and then we're going to kind of speed run a bit of this, but we'll see. We're doing it in true Lightbringers fashion. It's going to take 7 hours to go through one thing.
Question. How does the What Lies Beneath quarterly release differ from future expansions quarterly releases? Beginning with the 4th expansion, there will be new content updates every 3 to 4 months following an expansion release. For context, there was no new Guild Wars 2 End of Dragon story content released between February 2022 and February 2023, largely because the team worked on the expansion up until its release, delaying new content development until a month or 2 later. Comparatively, the 4th expansion hasn't even been officially revealed yet, and we're already making headway on its quarterly release content. This is one of the biggest reasons we're excited about this transition. Additionally, as we laid out earlier in this blog, the 4th expansion's quarterly releases will be augmented by other types of content and feature updates that aren't included in the Guild Wars 2 End of Dragon's quarterly releases.
I think that's just kind of, we know that stuff really. I don't know how much we need to talk about this. Is there any points that anything anyone really wants to bring up? I mean, I know there's big information there, but like, you know, they're already talking about the quarterly releases that are continuing on. I thought I just had there though was that because there is so much distance or time between releases of Living World in the past, we've been able to give feedback on story, right? If they're pumping out so much story and like content like this, how long is it going to take for them to kind of action things that maybe we aren't or
I don't know
are
if they're really
happy on?
It's there's still 3 or 4 months in between each episode.
Yeah, but if you think about like, I mean, well, you're saying episode.
Oh, you're
it's
saying
not
that
an episode.
they've done it so far in advance.
Yeah, well, they're doing like, I mean, I know they are doing it theoretically. Still, there's going to be still the same amount of stuff coming out, but theoretically they're working on expansions, and an expansion is different to an episode versus Living World, right? So a Living World season would be over a year, whereas an expansion now, I guess maybe you just think of it as an expansion in terms of a Living World. Maybe I guess maybe it's a dead on arrival question, but like just thinking about it, like does it impact? I mean, it's a thought, isn't it? Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure.
My takeaway from this section is that it's a false dichotomy.
Okay.
They're like, well, look at this episode that's a transitional episode that's kind of like given players not a lot of things and hardly any story, and we're going to do amazing things with the next. I mean, come on, if you want to compare what the content that you're going to be delivering, and you're saying that it's going to be more and it's going to be better and we're going to be happy, then let's look at something that's really successful, like Path of Fire with Season 4, which was a great content cadence, fantastic expansion, extraordinary features, like a whole kit and caboodle. It's an extraordinary, looking back at it, it's an extraordinary amount of work. And they did that over 19 months and 13 days, from the start of Path of Fire to the last episode of Season 4 of that Living World. So that's two years of expansions, right? And one's going to be a full expansion in this new cadence, and the other one's going to be halfway through its patch cycle. So don't point to this limp dog weeping in the corner and pretend that it's some sort of Herculean creation. That's disingenuous, man.
I don't know about disingenuousness in this. I think this paragraph, it dawned on me later on when we were reading through it that the question was, how does it differ, right? That's the question it's trying to answer. And then the answer is, it doesn't tell you. It doesn't tell you at all. It never answers the question. All it does is say how the production differs, but then at the same time, it doesn't actually tell you how the production of these two tying-in episodes were done at all. It doesn't tell you anything, really.
It's truly transitional content. If they try and frame it as anything else, that's
well, that's what it is. I mean,
the question and the
that's
answer are not congruent. I think the question could have been better written as, how does End of Dragons differ from Expansion 4's release cadence?
Yeah,
because the question is all about the expansion itself. The question sets up the precedent that you're going to be answering how the quarterly patches are going to differ from the one that we just received.
Yeah.
So
This feels
the question and the answer, the answer in and of itself, I enjoy, just like to reinforce what they've already kind of said. But the question it's just.
Well, they kind of
not what
answer
the
this
answer
later
was.
as well, honestly. But like they just didn't put they almost just didn't put the right answer in there. Honestly,
I mean,
it was just like kind of
it's a total discrepancy. Because Kroof, you're totally right. I think everybody's right in this. Because the question feels like what they actually wanted to write. If we're just looking at the question, it looks like what they wanted to write is, what lies beneath seemed like a relatively short release. Is this already what we can expect from, are we already looking at development mentality of, what an expansion episode will be? Because there have been a lot of discussions about that in the community. Is what lies beneath something that you can use to foreshadow the length, depth, and breadth of an episodic release in the expansion? That feels like what they were trying to get at, but because they don't want to frame it in a way that sounds negative about the studio, they just straight up could not frame it.
They didn't answer the question.
And so they just wrote a thing like, oh, how is what lies beneath gonna be different from our new expansion? When in reality, if you couldn't actually approach that question in the direct way you wanted, then you shouldn't have included it at all. And I think they should have phrased it instead, like Kroof was saying. What can we expect from, like, how do previous living seasons compare to what we're going to be expecting from these quarterly releases? I think that would have been a much better way to frame it, because as it is, it feels like, yes, they didn't really answer the question that they posed, and they weren't able to address even the thing that maybe what they were trying to get at with it. If they had just phrased that question and then said, what we have right now is not indicative of the expansions because we are not in the new expansion cycle yet. So to give you more information about what you can really expect from the expansion cycles, and then you could bring in something like exactly like you said, Fornax, like Living Season 4 was a great time for the game. And we saw, you know, large patches that had a lot of features and content. We want to even take this a step above with something like an expansion release where you're going to see things like this, the new maps, expansion, you know, but we're going beyond that because this will be not us having to divide our resources, but us fully dedicated at any given time and working ahead on what's to come. So you'll get the additional stuff, you'll get features that you would
Write that down.
Yeah, like, but as it is, they just kind of phrased a question that they set themselves up to fail and couldn't actually address in a way, it seems like. So
I also not sure if like any
check
that
out my video for that exact comparison.
Did they even need to? I don't even know if they needed to ask that question in the first place.
But
aside from the discrepancy between the question and the answer, I want to focus a little bit on the answer because I think this is relatively positive in terms of
it
like
does give a
soft
feeling
confirmation of that we should be expecting the expansion this year. That seemed to be something up in the air, but the information of them saying that we are already at work with the quarterly releases at least gives me more hope than previously that we'll be seeing the expansion sometime later this year.
I didn't get that from this paragraph. I think I might have gotten that feeling
somewhere
from a
else,
different one, but this
one.
paragraph didn't give me that feeling.
They said the fourth extension hasn't been officially revealed yet we're already making headway on the quarterly release content.
Yeah, but like development time, like, you know, ESO,
yeah,
like
I know in terms of like what does that mean? Like they started writing down sentences. Like,
this whole paragraph, what it got to me was, okay, so the question was asked, it wasn't answered, but what they tried to do in the answer was give you the feeling that they've been working on this expansion very hard for a long time without saying that they didn't work hard for a long time on these two other episodes.
Well, yeah, they just don't want your expectations.
But they were trying
to,
it sounded like they were trying to express that. And I feel like most people got that feeling from it. So in that way, it was successful. But still, I agree. I don't think it should have been included.
This is why they didn't do the Twitch. I think this is why they didn't do it.
Well, because this
was also just so weird to me because it really strangely doesn't acknowledge the work they did on Living Season 1. Like this framing of there was no story content for End of Dragons from February 2022 until 2023, a whole year. It sets this very weird vibe, like we just didn't do anything then. And that's not at all true.
Yeah, we did get season 1.
Yeah, like season 1 was a great success and it needed to be added. And I do think they did overall a very good job of adding it. Now, of course, when we're actually just looking at the story, which Jebro, I think maybe your question earlier was kind of getting at the idea of like, in previous living seasons, and maybe again, just let me know if this is the incorrect impression, but I think maybe what you were getting at is like in previous living seasons, if a piece of story comes out, the player base has a chance to respond to it, give thoughts and feedback, and then perhaps the actual course, direction, tone, etc. of the narrative is almost formed by that feedback as they go through because they were working on it much more like in the moment.
It feels like they were, yeah.
Yeah, like I think my feeling on this screw what the players think about the story, just write the story and then put it out. And then I'm not concerned about this in that way because when we get an expansion, you get the expansion, you know, you get all that story. They plan it out, and to have a coherent narrative arc, to have a throughput of ideas, I genuinely feel like in the past, that's why our living seasons have sometimes been incredibly disjointed. Not only the irregularity of the work environment and a relatively small team being divided or having to focus on something like one massive release that then leaves much less, right? But also perhaps some of the fact that, yes, they didn't have as much time to larger scale scope, plan, set up narrative beats, payoff, evolution, full arcs. So, they're kind of going, okay, where were we with the narrative and what did we already establish? And I'm sure they already had thoughts of what was coming, but how that pans out in a larger balanced story in foreshadowing and character development and narrative beats and everything, I actually think will be much more strongly supported in this kind of format. If they're able to work ahead, if they're able to make sure that the whole arc is being realized by the full force of the team, I think it'll be more consistent, and I think that will be a good thing overall.
Yeah. And I think that what this finally gets across to me, this paragraph, is it makes me ask myself the question, when did they decide to move on to the yearly expansions after End of Dragons? Because that decision is definitely what made what we've had in between become the in between. You know what I mean? So when the decision was made to go to yearly expansion, let's say it happened before End of Dragons released, which is, I think, what this paragraph is trying to say. Then that means that
maybe
less resources were dedicated to working on things on End of Dragons, fleshing it out, all the things coming after it. Living World was done. So
yeah, it was.
When did Grouch and Colin come back? Question.
Last
before
year.
End of
How long
Dragons
did it take
released.
them to implement the change that they thought was needed? This.
Well, no, this is
That's
the
the question.
change. This is
Yeah.
the change that they're implementing.
yeah,
Theirs
exactly.
wasn't
Yeah,
End
exactly.
of Dragons
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah. So I mean
I
that
think
it's
this
just
is
kind of
that.
the explanation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Definitely.
And I'm not saying it's about. I think this shorter, more focused content delivery could be wildly successful.
oh, it's much better.
I think it,
Absolutely.
and I mean, I've been playing this franchise since 2005.
Mhm.
I'm so happy that we're going to get consistent content. I love that they've employed new people and that they're going to look back at the older games. Sorry, I'm like spoilers for the rest of the episode, but I'm super happy. I just think that they're being really coy about some of this stuff, and I don't know whether they're just like gearing up and they've got all their ducks in a row and they're wanting to do like a big flourish reveal or something like that with all this and a bit of fanfare, and I don't blame them for that. I mean, they've worked incredibly hard. They never ever seem to get the kind of the
That's
critical
true.
acclaim that they deserve, at least with the big boys in the industry.
Well, remember, you've
And
got
when they're all just
Gamescom
like
and like
stealing their content like blind. Not that
stealing their
I'm okay with that as a player, you know what I mean? But they don't get the credit for the innovations that they've made. So I just think they're being a bit coy, which I think really does explain why we haven't got a Twitch stream, because they're saying there's a lot of words in this post for not a lot of things actually said. They've reiterated a few things, and they're talking about the things that they've done and pointing out all the work that they've done, which is a huge amount kind of behind the scenes and tinkering. And I think a lot of players just haven't noticed this stuff. But yeah, I think they're gearing up for something big.
Yeah, but if you read between the lines, I think it's all very exciting because it means that the next expansion is going to be the Wizard Tower.
If it is, then I will cry.
Maybe.
I need that to be a thing. I need it, Boots. Will it into existence because I'm there. We're gonna keep pumping through because we got to.
Pump it,
It's good.
pump it, baby.
Yeah, I will.
Pumping through.
We're going hard into spring summer. Sorry.
Wow.
Spring.
Woo.
Hey, pretty much everyone has. Anyway. Yeah, let's not go limp into spring and summer. Let's go hard. Good old Guild Wars 2 Spring 2023. I don't know why Rookery's face is just filth.
Damn, now you call it look ugly.
I'm the problem. I'm disgusting.
Oh, this
and
is
I'm
my
filled
channel.
and my
I'm like
face
this
is
all the
wrong.
time.
Thanks,
Like,
Jebro.
you know, this goes onto my
Jebro.
YouTube. Like, everyone understands and expects this from me. Like, you know, I don't expect it from anyone else. Maybe Fornex. Actually, definitely Groove.
What?
And Rookery is like a side of, but very under the table. It's dodgy.
Springs of a roadmap.
Yeah, do dodgy
Indeed.
stuff under the table. Let's keep going.
See, this is the thing. End of Dragons update, quarterly update, what lies within Fractal Dungeon and Challenge Mode. Then we've got festivals, which is the Dragon Bash Festival, so probably not much new stuff. And then we've got gameplay systems, which is skills and balance updates, like a bigger one. And then we've got visuals, effect filtering, which is huge. And also World v World rewards update.
Do you think with this Dragon Bash Festival, we will have a more somber note about the passing of certain dragons?
No, no one cares.
Absolutely not.
So
I mean, what?
That'd be that'd be the antithesis of the festival.
I care.
Okay.
Well, then you can show your care and you show your love by bashing some pinatas and some dragon Halloween.
You bash dragons, you don't care about them. Like, you know, that's the idea.
Like,
It's not
kids
called
love
bash and then
SpongeBob.
care about
they
them
still
after.
smash the SpongeBob pinata.
It's true.
So.
Exactly, Grove. Exactly. It's a fun thing. They're just going to add like many more versions of like, you know, other dragons. They deserve it. Okay, let's listen to the... I reckon we should listen to the audio.
We
first.
could probably skip the profession balance update. Because that just
Yeah, we
happened.
probably could. Because
Yeah.
we've already done that. Oh, there's the audio. But let me just play the audio so because otherwise I'm gonna have to find it anyway. So I'm gonna play it, but we won't discuss it. Like, in
Spring
depth.
Summer Roadmap updates. Here's a more detailed look at what's to come over the next 2 months. May 2nd, Profession Balance Update. Tomorrow's update will include profession balance changes aimed at addressing outstanding balance issues and bringing up some underperforming elite specializations, like Reaper. We're keeping this update on the lighter side, with just over 100 changes in total, so the team can focus on delivering a larger balance update on June 27th, more on that later in the blog. If you missed the balance update preview that was posted on April 21st, you can check it out on the official Guild Wars 2 forums.
Not huge, but huge for Reaper, apparently. But like Reaper's just going off the wall in PvE, apparently. I don't know. That's what I've heard a little bit about. But that's good, because Reaper was one of those specs which wasn't used that much, because you are kind of limited to the things you can do. That's cool. Other than that, we're going to skip through. Is there anything notable that people really... I know that like people, there's some probably really big, important things in there, but there's a lot to go through, and we've got now. But is there anything besides anyone wanted to mention specifically from it?
I'm good.
Play button.
Boy, sorry?
Play.
You want to
So
hit the play button?
Play button.
Okay.
May 23rd, new End of Dragons content, What Lies Within. The next update for Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons arrives on May 23rd, concluding the story that began earlier this year in What Lies Beneath. Together with your allies, you'll tackle new story chapters and a new capstone encounter for the Gaiala Delve meta event that will have your squad breaking through an old tunnel to the surface to put an end to the demons of the depths. Once the danger has been cleared out of Gaiala Delve, the map will enter a more peaceful state, fit for exploring. Several new adventures will become available, including our first cooperative adventure featuring the Siege Turtle. Earlier Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons maps will share in the updates, with the new Siege Turtle, Jadebot, and Skiff adventures. You'll also start running into Oni in the Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons maps, stalking from the shadows to strike unsuspecting adventurers. Alongside the new content, we've got a plethora of new rewards to pursue, in addition to a bevy of treasure chests and achievements awaiting your triumph in Gaiala Delve. New collections will put you on the road to unlocking a new set of armor skins for braving Cantha's dangers, and there will be new weapon skins and unique weapons to earn as well. This release will be the last story update in Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons release cycle. Keep an eye out for hints towards the future, and look forward to the upcoming Fractal, where you can peer further into the shadows under the Jade Sea.
I have a big question. First question.
Send it.
I'm ready.
Because this is huge. Are we done in Camphor then?
No.
No?
I don't think so.
But like, I mean, that's the end of the dragon, you know, the end of dragons
It's the end of Dragons expansion, yeah.
I mean, there's that question there. With an expansion, they always go to a new
The End
region.
of Dragons story is about the dragons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I
in a
do not
region
think we're leaving
specific.
Cantha.
No?
Especially with contextual evidence. Ooh, my English degree is coming in handy. They say, if I can find it, that Oni will start to pop up in the core maps. So that immediately leads me to think that whatever we're doing in the next update is going to unleash something into Kantha that we have to deal with. Because, like, why would we unleash something and be like, okay, bye? Like, it'd be so rude.
That's so interesting because when I initially read it, had interpreted it as like Oni will begin popping up and will be permanently on those maps no matter where you are in the story as like a foreshadowing tool of what you would get playing through End of Dragons, eventually getting to the Jade Sea. But I think what you're saying is absolutely the correct way.
That makes more sense.
I
Yeah.
think so too.
I think I was just like, oh, maybe there'll be some new achievements or something, and it'll be attached to the Oni that'll be on the maps, and that'll be like a foreshadowing of the demon stuff as you play through End of Dragons. But I do agree. I think that this has to be leading into that, and it would make sense to me to use this region of the world as the starting point of what's happening with the story coming up, even if this is the epilogue or the sort of capstone on End of Dragons itself.
Yeah. And even though these 2 episodes before the next expansion don't directly deal with dragons, they are still dealing with the End of Dragon story in that the commander is dealing with the aftermath of everything he's gone through, et cetera, or they have gone
He's
through.
resolving his now it's what lies within, so they're linking it all now. So that's interesting. I did like the last episode actually. It was one of my favorites. I don't know why. I think it was just the mental health stuff. I was just like psychology of it, and really I love those bits when they really go into the character and they start to bring back the past and they flesh that out more and how you feel. Because you go through so much in all of these, if you think about World of Warcraft, think about all these games, you go through 20 years of all this questing and loss, and you never literally go, it's just not doable. It's just not doable. You'd be the bad guy. You would be the bad guy if you didn't do any kind of processing. You would have to do some kind of process. And that's why I love it, because it does give you that element, that depth that I think I enjoy in a story. It's like, The Last of Us, for example, the amount of, I mean, I've only played the first one, but there's so much depth to those characters. There's so many themes of like mental health and past and how that affects you as a person, how you went through change and how it affected your life and how you move forward. That kind of thing really grips people. And I think we've missed that in Guild Wars 2. There's more the soul, if that makes sense. Huh?
Play 14.
I mean,
It's not an
it is
MMO.
good.
It's a psychology book wrapped up in an MMO. Is what
I'm
it is.
on.
That's what 14 is.
I'm just starting this first expansion, I think.
Yeah. If we're talking about Guild Wars 2, though, I really do appreciate the cheekiness of every time. Like, I'm very happy that Onis are coming into the world because of this, by the way, because I very much appreciate the cheekiness of every time you deal with demons in the world, it's essentially talking about like inner demons every single time.
Metaphors.
And it's both metaphorical and very real, because the demons feed on emotions and insecurities and et cetera. So yeah, it's a little ham-fisted, but in a good way. I think it's
good.
I like that tie-in too, not just for the commander, because Jebro, I agree that what we did get from the story from the last portion, I think, was really interesting. It's a fantastic concept. It was very short. We talked about this. We covered it, right? But the actual premise, the actual things that we saw, I do think were really phenomenal. And when you think about like what could be the greatest threat to a world that has suffered for 10 years, and then you think, just like you said, Boots, well, what if enemies that fed off of suffering got unleashed into it? What if all these people
we're eating tonight, boys?
whose families died and whose homelands got destroyed and all this stuff? What if these people who are literally battling the fallout and demons and the mental health aspect of that, the emotional aspect of that, the less obvious scars that are the fallout of something like this, conflict, pain,
God's buggering off.
What if enemies entered the world that really were the greatest threats to that, and that fed off of that and amplified it? I love that idea. I think it's fantastic. And I also really love the the play with words between these two episodes,
Yeah.
what lies beneath and what lies within. I think that's just such a great little parallel. And I am really looking forward to seeing how they kind of build this out, because I think there's some great material for setup in it. And yeah, it doesn't feel like this is the kind of setup where they're going to be like, and then there's demons and they're done. And now we like,
I
now we
hope
have an
that's not
expansion
the
that's
case, yeah.
completely removed from all of this. They could go that way, but I feel
That would
like
be a shame.
it would either give us a really great, totally fresh start, or it would feel so disjointed. So I get more of a sense that what comes next is going to grow out, especially with this new year-to-year format. It's going to grow out of where we've already been and still be something new, but I don't think we're going to be like yeeted into space, maybe. I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe.
Hey,
I
don't
don't know.
break Boots' dreams. I mean, God Lord. we're here about
What'd I
talking
do?
about this. Rook Spaz said they don't think we're going to space.
Not yet. Probably not yet.
Yeah.
You don't
maybe
think
not
those
yet.
are space constructs? They're not space constructs?
They
Maybe.
could be aliens. They could be ancient aliens. I don't know.
Yeah, one of the paragraphs says something about I'm looking forward to explore a new part of Tyria, and that made me a little hesitant about space in the mists.
Unless.
Let me ask you, Boots. Was this the part where you were like, "Oh, expansion this year," when they said that this will be the final release for End of Dragon?
I wasn't. I don't think I thought expansion this year. Someone else.
Even that.
No,
I
someone else
think
told it to me. Someone else told it to me, and I'm still not on board yet.
This is gonna be the last.
This is
update
where
for
I
End
felt.
of Dragons.
Yeah, this is where I felt it was going to be. Like, because if they don't, you've got to think about it.
Then
If
you
it's the
gotta-
last
and
one
then
for
you
End of
gotta-
Dragons,
You got
there's no
8
story
months.
till next year. Like, you know,
6
and they
months,
just
yeah.
said
Okay,
like
so
2
hold
or
on a
3
second. Now let's
paragraphs
think about it
above
this
that we're
way.
not doing that.
If-
Like, you know, they
if
would
we
just literally
consider-
go against their own word in their own blog post in the same.
If we consider
day.
expansions to be 1 year long, and the next expansion is going to be 1 year after that,
Yeah.
right? What would be the best possible time to release a game, considering that you're going to be releasing the game every year after that at the same time?
Probably around
October,
Gamescom.
November.
Yeah, Gamescom / PAX West. In between, you can show it the fuck off. Damn it!
And you said dam.
I mean, that's how
I know.
keen
I'm
I am.
talking about water systems, aka a dam, but I don't think
Yes.
we used it in that sense.
No, I said the
Wow.
F-bomb. Do you remember when Heart of Thorns came out? They came out with,
Yeah.
but that came out with PAX East. Incorrect.
Oh, I loved the date and
They
the
were so
whole
good.
timing of Heart of Thorns.
That was good.
When did it come out? It came out, when was that?
It was like October
Yeah.
or November.
Oh no, PAX East. Yeah, PAX East was the
Okay.
ad promo for it. Right. Okay, so they could still do that. They could coincide
They
it.
can still do that. So they can't do, I don't think they should do late November if they're doing November time, because keep in mind that they need to go on vacation in January or in end of December, January. So you want to be able to leave a little, like a good month before they
think
go on
October.
vacation to fix problems with.
As it
the
starts to
expansion.
get a bit colder, October would be beautiful. Like, just do it PAX West, show us all the features, do the big announcement thing, invite all the partners. I'm here already.
All of them?
Everyone. And then, yeah, just do a big show off of it, have a flashy thing, get us on stage talking, doing that stuff, you know. It'd be fun. I think it'd be wicked. They've got a real opportunity to do this. The problem is as well, like, I thought it was going to be next year, as long as the story was going to go for the end of the year. The story's ending like soon. Like, it's not even the first, like, it's second quarter, and it's like midway through second quarter.
It's ending this month.
Yes.
Yeah, it's this
And
month.
I agree. I think it's going to be this year, because otherwise
be.
there's just this huge void of content. And while that is certainly an option, it is not one that I think that they should take for the life of their game. And I truly don't believe this team, with the people in charge of it, them hiring more people than ever, I do not think this is the team that would do that to us. I have felt them methodically continue to build this trust. I have felt them with End of Dragons come out and say that they are really going to make good on the things that they are saying. And really, genuinely, I think we have seen that pay off in so many ways. Whatever anybody thought about just this last episode, right?
Yeah.
Whatever anybody thought about that, really, truly, I see the exact same thing with the last episode as I saw with the last episodes of Iceberg Saga. And why
Yes.
was that? Because they were working on and had an imminent expansion. So for me, it's something where I do think we're going to see it this year. I think we're going to see the start of it this year. And I think a lot of the groundwork that they were laying and the people they've been bringing in and everything else is going to pave that. Now, of course, I think there is something to say about the fact that, Jeb, I agree with you. PAX, if they're going to do it this year and if they want it to be a big thing, like, they gotta go. And PAX would be an opportunity for a huge event. If they did something even of the scale that they did for Iceberg Saga, like, but for an actual expansion and had, you know, big events and stuff, I think that's going to give good impact for them. As it is, they're already behind the curve on this, because if you look at when other studios start doing their prep and hype for advertising, all this kind of stuff, generating that kind of pre-interest, those pre-sales, like to literally just announce the X-Pack and do it right before you release in October. I mean, it's
giving Path of Fire marketing.
It's Path of the Fire marketing vibes. Yeah. But I mean, I think that if they do decide to just like do a big, huge thing and be like, here's a new expansion, there is a chance that if they do it really well, it can be something that would reignite, like, oh my gosh, they switched to this new format, but now they are literally giving us an expansion, like, right in our laps the year that we heard about this new switch. I think that could be them proving the concept and that, like, hey, we can really do this. Of course, there's a lot of ifs with that, but I am excited for this new format. I do think it will be great. Yes, I just hope that their marketing catches up here, because we're still being coy, but if it comes out October this year, that is just a handful of months away, you know?
It's a lot to do, but they're going to have to do that more often, right? Because, like, you know, if you think about ESO has they do that yearly chapter, which is just an expansion. But they do, every January, they do the big release thing. So they were in Vegas in January. So, you know, Guild Wars 2 could do something similar. Like, they go to a different place, they have an event, like, this is the yearly thing, they've got more, they're earning more, they're doing great. Maybe there's something in their budget, that'd be cool. But, like, it's such an odd time of year to start a whole journey. It's like, oh, September, October. I guess it doesn't really matter, but it's a really good time of the year. That's when, like, going into Christmas, like, you know, there's that excitement, people have got holidays, you can play the game. The only thing I'm thinking of is now as well is like the expectations of how big an expansion is even going to be, but that's just, I feel like that's out of the scope of where we are right now, so I'm probably just going to shift us on. But, like, you know, in terms of maps and everything else, and what you said, Rook, was very true. Getting some vibes of, like, Iceberg Saga and End of Dragons, like, story cycle ending. Like, I hope this next episode is given justice. I really do. Like, it's so important to end that well, so that we're not just like, oh no, not again. Like, you know, how if you don't change directions again,
my
please.
expectations for the next update are not high.
Oh, god damn it, Kroof.
In terms of announcement of
No,
content.
considering everything that we are presumably going to be getting this year, I think it'll be on par with what we received. And I just want to, you know, put that out there just in case, because, you know, maybe people going in had very high expectations. And sometimes high expectations can feel even worse of a sting than what you actually get.
Kroof selling pessimism now. That's sadness.
It's not pessimism, it's a sense of realism.
Pessimism.
It's a sense of realism considering the time frame of everything.
Oh, god.
I would agree with that. I would say don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? Don't put so many hopes on this that there's no choice but for all those eggs to break. Like keep it, you know, within reasonable parameters. But to also balance that statement, I will say that I like a lot of things that they actually say about this release. You know, I love that they are talking about the culmination of that meta event. I like that we're going from the tunnels up to the surface, because the entire time that I was on the map, I was like, but I want to see what's on top. And I was really curious about that. So I think that's a really interesting kind of idea. I also love Boots. I can't believe you weren't yelling about this first. New adventures, Boots.
There was a lot to say.
I think I
Jack
forgot
said so
about
many
that as
things
well.
all at
Have you
once.
ever felt stifled by conversations for you to not butt in about space
Because Jack's
and
voice
adventures
was so
whenever the
wonderful.
opportunity arises?
He was
fine.
mesmerized by my
He was.
husband. It's all right. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
I
True.
Yeah.
He
understand.
was dazed. He was dazed.
Yeah, adventures. I'm looking forward to them. Yeah. You got the boat adventures. What else was there? There's the turtle adventure.
The duos, the first ever
J-Bot.
co-op adventure.
Oh, I mean, we did a co-op adventure before. We did the boat
Skiff adventures.
No, but
We're gonna do
that's
that
not
again. Boots, get us on your
technically
YouTube channel. I need some more subs.
adventure.
Oh, that was funny. Yeah, I need to get ahead of you. That's the only adventure that I'm ahead of you in. Every single time I was doing beetle racing the other day, I was like, I've got to beat Boots, and I was like, there's no way I'm beating Boots. Like 20 seconds ahead of me, and I'm like, how do people do this? I just want the
I'm actually
damn
not
scarf.
that good. I'm decent. I'm above average in beetle racing, but there are like tricks you could do while beetle racing that I haven't been able to figure out how to properly do yet. Like,
And you weren't even using
like
them?
super
Oh my God.
slides, boost slides, and
It's just
stuff.
making me sad.
I can't.
Oh, I like those.
You're making
Yeah,
me more
it's
sad
tough.
now. I wanted to
Yeah.
try and do all of them.
Mario Kart Wii.
It is so good.
But I
I
love
can't
this.
even do the Griffin races. I can't.
They're
figure
really
out the,
hard.
hard,
You're
though.
fine.
They're so
You're good.
hard.
Very hard.
I really love this concept, though. I love, for so long, people have said, I wish on various maps there was a state of the map that like wasn't the meta, or that gave me time to kind of like look around or explore or just get the things that I need. So while we do have in maps various states of being, typically when you finish it, you know, you're on that timer 10 minutes or whatever, and then you got to get off that map. So it's not as though that like state or turnover of the map allows you time to do things like this, where you're just kind of going around and you're vibing, especially on a map that has this nasty stink all over it. So that like you have some time to explore it without feeling as though
That'd be
like, oh my
nice.
gosh, I have to go get the filters again. Oh, I gotta go get the filters. So
Yeah,
I
that's
think
true.
that
Please
having
remove
that,
that next release.
I mean, I like the idea of it because they even talk about here like a plethora of achievements and other things affiliated with the maps. So in that sense, I like the kind of gimmick of presenting new things and new challenges that for those who are achievement driven, right, there are new parameters and ways that you're going to have to kind of figure out, like the make sure your filters don't run out to get the thing before, you know, over the course of the whole event. Like, I think it's an interesting idea, but I think it's even better having a state of the map where you don't have to deal with that and you can explore and they can maybe work in some more lore. We can get some of the oh my gosh, my brain just like shorted for a second. Luxon, some of the Luxon lore. No, Kurzik lore that we hadn't gotten yet.
Okay.
Oh, I
Either
forgot too. I think it's
Luxon for the
Luxon.
Jade
I
Oh,
don't know.
Luxon and the Jade, yeah.
Luxon and the Jade Sea. Maybe there'll be some more of that we can even kind of glean. And I'm happy that there's adventures because
Can we circle back to adventures?
Yeah.
I would like to talk about adventures just
Yes,
for a little
yes,
bit.
yes.
Okay, so I am excited for these adventures. I will say though,
Hey.
Skiff and Turtle, you know, as you know, I was doing this adventure series, and I'm trying to get high on the leaderboard for all of them. Now I'm gonna have to depend on another person to perform well with me on my turtle in order to do.
Yeah,
It's gonna be fun, but it's gonna be annoying. to have to
Ooh, we're
make sure
finding
that
out some
my-
things about Boots.
I'm not gonna get
I
Jebro's
can-
not gonna be my partner in this. I know that for
okay.
sure.
What?
I need somebody on top of things.
Hey.
What are you talking about? I'm like a
Gary, do you remember
legendary
this?
player. I've got
Yeah,
the
I'll get
reactions of a
I'll get a Rook.
small.
Rook will be good.
Wow. Apparently, our parent.
Yeah, suckers. Boots
Wow.
trusts me the most.
You
out
know
of
what,
all
Rook?
y'all.
Let's fight. Meet me in the heart of the mists. Let's go.
It's okay.
You know,
It's all right.
the
Me and
other question, though,
Fornax are just going to
am
team up
I-
as the Brits, and we're
As
going
the controller
piss-
of
kick
the
your asses.
turtle, would I be in the front seat or the back seat? Because remember on the skiffs, you guys were all in front of me, and you got higher on the leaderboard because of it, and I won't be having that anymore. So
It's a
wanna
duo
know.
adventure.
Very,
It's a
wordy
duo one.
and strongly worded email to some developers if that ever is the situation. But I hope and I think that they'd probably account for that.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
isn't
we
it?
were-
Isn't it?
we
If
were
it's
great guinea
the
pigs.
first duo adventure, isn't it a duo score? Technically, why do I keep doing that?
Probably.
I don't know.
This is just entertainingly revealing of your character, and I'm just here for I'm so
Wait,
sorry.
of
You're like,
Boots'
"Screw
character or
me
mine?
over."
I get hyper competitive about the stupidest things sometimes.
I love it so much. I love seeing what everybody's like sweaty palms try hard thing is because everybody has something. And I
Someone's
love
calling me from Reno, Nevada. Should I answer it?
Yeah, you should. It seems like that would be a friend.
You also should have had the audio out so we can like hear
don't
what they
mute
talk.
your
Although
mic.
actually they may say something about. Good.
That is
Oh, I
interesting.
think you have the wrong number.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
That's your response? Tell them to F off.
I have a bike.
Put them on mic. Put them on air.
No.
Can I sell my bike?
Ask them what they think about elite specialization.
Oh, is it free cycle or something? What the hell?
The person was like, "Do you have any property for?" They were like, "Can I speak with Serena?" And I was like, "Oh, I think you have the wrong number." And they were like, "Well, are you interested in selling your property?" And I was like, "I have a bike."
Oh my
They were
god!
like,
It's
"Oh,
a
okay.
cold
Have a
call
good day."
from
I
a
was like, "Can I sell
realtor.
my bike?"
Wow.
And I said, "No, thank you."
That's an interesting way of doing it. Wow. Okay.
I love that.
Oh,
You
that's so
should have gone
good.
through it.
But I'm super into the idea of co-op adventures, and I do hope that they have a
Yeah.
shared score because
They will.
we talked about guild missions. We've talked about guild missions in the past.
God.
And the thing is that if they really are not going to develop these, which it does not seem like they are, I mean, we have not heard anything, and it's been many years. And at this point, I'm just going to write them off. I think that you can.
No! Don't do
You
it.
heard me.
No,
I'm
chat.
done.
We need
I'm
energy
done.
for guild
I'm done.
missions. I need it in the chat. We've got it.
gonna have to
I still
surprise
believe.
me.
Look at Fornax's face. How can you do that? How
look,
can you do that?
I do think that the new expansion format, let me say this, could offer them the chance to do something like a year of guild spirit stuff, right? Tie the guilds into the story somehow again, add new features and things for the guilds. I think there is something that they could do with that 110%, but I'm going to put that aside because we don't know about that and there's nothing about that. What I will say is that something that I think is fun about a lot of those little gimmicky games that you can do together is that they are just something fun that you can kind of go in and work towards with a group of people in a just silly kind of YOLO setting. And I think having little cooperative adventures like this is a fun thing that I can see like a couple friends running around a map together just being like, oh yeah, let's try it. I don't know. You got
Now-
your siege turtle?
I'm worried about the sea turtle. Though Skiff will be okay.
And then
I
they'll
could
be
get-
like, no,
that'll
I
be
don't,
fine.
'cause I haven't done the
sea
end
turtle,
map.
though, you need another person. And who
That'd be
will
so
I
funny.
actually get?
Me, you said me.
I know, but like, would
No,
you
don't get
would you
Rook.
stick around shooting the gunner position for like 5 hours straight, trying to get a high
Oh,
score?
you have to
I'm
hang out
nothing
with
else in
Boots
my
for
life.
5
you, I'll do
hours.
it.
We're all just crawling. We're just like fighting at the chance to get a feature on one of your adventure videos.
Fornax
Now,
is like,
hear me out,
no,
though.
no.
What if you pit Kroof and I against one another?
Oh,
And you see
We'll go
which
one
of
by
us-
one, like back and
yeah,
forth.
which is the
and-
better
I mean,
duo.
our first-person shooter history, we might have to really see who has the best, most reactive aim. Rook, I don't know.
I like how me and Fornax are just
Final one.
immediately
Totally do it.
deleted out of this conversation. It's just like Boots is like just going to pick between Kroof and Rook. Yeah, it's fine. All right.
We have
I just
firmly
invite you
planted
all onto my
ourselves in this
podcast. You just
position.
go and make content
Fornax
together.
did put up a
No
big
one cares
sign
about
on
me.
your screen that
No one
said
cares
no.
about Jebro.
It only doesn't say fuck no because I can't fit it on the screen.
Also,
That's
thank
true.
God.
I'm washing my dog that day. Something. Insert no.
Yeah, I'm washing my hair.
That beard does take a lot of care.
Which beard? Anyway, let's go to the next bit.
Moving
Is there?
swiftly onward, I can outrun a centaur. Okay, I believe we all got that, right? We all got that. Don't
I
look at
can
me like
outrun a
I'm
centaur.
insane.
No, you're
Don't
fine,
look at me
you're
like I'm insane.
I just wanted to go
My
quiet
brain
because it was
stopped.
funny.
My brain stopped because I was trying to think if there was anything else about this section that I wanted to talk about, and there was one
There,
thing.
there is. There's
There
loads.
was one thing.
That's the problem.
Which is that I think one of the biggest complaints about Gala Delve so far have been the rewards. Of course, I think there were more to the rewards than people guessed at first, given the fishing spots at the end, given, other ways that you can get a lot of stuff out of that map. Of course, is it as profitable as something like Drizzlewood was and is? Like, as far as I know, although I haven't crunched all of the numbers, no. But they did mention here a plethora of rewards, which I feel was them sidelong acknowledging the feedback about the first portion of the map. So I'm hoping that does pan out, and I feel good about that. They talk about, all kinds of the new armor skins. They talk about new weapons, unique weapons, a bevy of treasure chests and achievements. So I am really fingers crossed. I feel good about that, and I think that might bring it together in a way that's going to be overall much more perhaps worthwhile a time investment. Although I personally have still been running it, and I enjoy it. So but I know some people had not as positive feelings. So
Capstone boss, I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't some sort of infusion that people would want to get.
Well,
Can
Maybe.
we take a second to talk about capstone bosses?
No.
We have half an hour to get through,
Sorry.
so much stuff.
Fine,
is there a brief question?
But
or
no, you
comment
go.
that you want to
go for
provide?
next.
So
Yeah,
do
yeah.
you
yeah.
think?
And then we're gonna
Okay.
put a cap
Question to
on
the
this.
group. Darlings, pay attention, right? So,
Yes.
do you think that there's been a single capstone boss, maybe other than Suon, that's actually
Being a capstone
good.
boss.
yeah?
That's actually good?
Okay, let us answer
'Cause-
in very, very short
Go on then.
ideas. I'm gonna say,
Alphazar.
considering the amount, no.
Oh, you mean on average? No.
Yeah.
Okay.
On average, it's kind of just, okay, that was a fun encounter, but not anything super
What?
memorable.
Mordremoth in Dragon's End.
Yeah, I'd say Dragon's Sand,
Alphazar's awesome.
Suon.
Dragon's Den with
Alphazar's really cool.
content.
Actually,
Yeah.
pretty good.
I like the Claw of Jormag in Drizzlewood. I think that's a cool little moment.
Your husband's pretty good, Fornix. The Chai Jaren.
Pardon me. Oh wait. Wow. What? Where are we going?
Now it's just gone right over my head. Oh my god.
Jack Jarrett is a boss in Triangle Depths. The
Oh, for
Jack
fuck's
Jarrett.
In Shangle
is a
Depth?
boss in Triangle Depths.
Get those
The strategic pause and you
LGBT.
saying that, Boots, was the cherry on top.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good.
So
We've
bad.
got some
Good.
gigglities going in the chat. We got some.
I like capstone bosses. I love world bosses. And I think a lot of times they go hand in hand. So for me, I actually really enjoy them. But I think that they could definitely push some of them more and make them more interesting.
They don't use the capstone language much, to be fair.
I was literally thinking that, we
This
just
is
learned
the only
another
time they've really
internal
used it properly.
word that they use for these systems. We
I don't
call it
fi-
meta boss, they call it capstone, we call it personal story, they call it the golden path. Very interesting behind the curtain.
The
They
curtain
really call
behind
it the
it.
golden path?
Yeah, personal stories
It's not
internally
like a
referred
a
to
sex
as.
thing? No, okay.
Oh, no.
Okay.
That's a golden shower.
Oh, I knew you was gonna
Good
go
stuff,
there. I
guys.
was
I'm so
just
sorry.
waiting
I'm
for
totally out of the
who.
loop. Here's the thing that I wanted to say. So just before I derail everything. So I really think that a lot of the end bosses that we get in expansions, even if they were okay at the time, look, I'm thinking about Zaitan and stuff. I
Right.
feel like they need, if they're going to go back and they're going to be tweaking and we've got all this time and we're so good and we're going to go back and we're going to look at just please make some of these bosses, at least a Zaitan, because that is the personal story. That's the zenith of all the effort that the first experience of the player with the story. It's actually a fantastic story when you play through it with the choices that you make and the sacrifices, and then you get this it's such a wasted opportunity boss. And I know that they'd cut 50% of the fight because you're supposed to do kind of go into the mouth and go and kill the dragon like Krakatorik. Yeah? So I just want them to go back and fix that. So at least the new so when you have a new player coming into the game, they can play the living world start to finish. They can have an excellent boss that shows them what's to come, that doesn't make them want to delete the game, and then they can play season 1 and then we're off to the races, because the content going forward from that is absolutely fucking fantastic. Yeah?
Clock that T.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the problem is, they said that they're going to be changing story content from 1 to 80, and Zaitan's just after you hit level 80, so I don't think they're going to touch it.
I don't think so
Well, boo.
either. Boo hands.
Oh no. Look, I don't know. I'm not gonna. I know this sounds contrary to what I said earlier when I gave up on guild missions,
leaving
but I'm
that
not
there
gonna give
now.
up on this. I'm not gonna give up on this because I could see them revamp it still as
Oh,
technically
yeah.
falling into the 80
100%.
category. Like that fight is notoriously one of
Terrible.
the worst pieces of design they've ever done.
You know what? That is great because that was released in 2012. So it's great that we have not reached that.
Exactly.
And I don't
think-
actually remember it being like the
it's very
worst
likely
thing.
that they would change it if they go back and change level 1 to 80 story in any way. They will touch on Zaitan.
That's the only thing they can really do. Because everything else is way too much work. Let's chug on.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, well, thank you for that. So, wait, is everyone done? Everyone's good? We don't have that much time. Okay, right.
I clocked out.
Next one.
June 6, Dragon Bash,
June
Allied
6.
Player Visual Effect Filtering, and World vs. World Rewards Update. The annual celebration of our penchant for dragon slaying, the Dragon Bash Festival, returns to Tyria on June 6th. The June 6th release will also introduce a new option in the settings menu, Hide Ally Visual Effects, that will give you control over whether visual effects are shown for allied players, pets, and minions. While the default setting hides no visual effects, just as it works now, you'll be able to choose from 3 new options to hide visual effects for all allied players, hide them for allied players who aren't in your squad, or hide them for allied players who aren't in your party. Some high-impact allied visual effects that convey important information in combat, such as combo fields, cannot be hidden. Note, this option only applies to allied players, so you won't be surprised by any invisible attacks from enemy players or creatures. As part of our focus on core game modes, we'll be releasing another round of World vs. World improvements, including the addition of a new infusion and weapon set, and new ways to spend your unused skirmish claim tickets and emblems of the Avenger. An account-bound version of the infusion can be purchased after completing an achievement in World vs. World. Keep Lords will also have a chance to drop a tradable version of the infusion when defeated. R.I.P. Keep Lords.
Ooh, a little bit of fanciness there. Big. The biggest thing here, okay, yeah, sure. There's an infusion and all that stuff. That's stuff we get all the time. We get all the things. Yeah. But the visual effect filtering, it is good. It is good. It is good. It is good for just your PC not dying. Like when you go to World v World, like it's only your allies though, not enemy stuff, not stuff which is important. So yeah,
Well,
combo
ally
fields,
stuff is-
etc.
Ally stuff is so important. We have so much large scale, massive content in this game. World versus world, yes. But I mean, even just like the world bosses, the metas, everything, right? And I honestly think a lot of the chugging is because you cannot filter stuff. Like I've had that problem in a ton of other MMOs, and usually the way that I help counter it to the best of my abilities is to set those visual filters. So the fact that we haven't had them in Guild Wars 2, but now we're getting them is huge. It's so good.
This is just players though. This is allied players.
Just
It's
players,
not
not enemies.
creatures. Not enemy PvP.
Fine, like I said,
things,
honestly,
whatever.
No, they
allied
do-
players alone.
They do mention, and creatures like enemy creatures, yeah. But in terms of like minions, golems, I assume that those can also be hidden
Yeah,
as
those
well.
can. That's allied, yeah.
So that'll be good.
It is
I'm really
good.
excited for that.
It's good for
One
performance.
thing-
For sure.
Oh, you're kind of cutting in and out, Jebro.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was doing this. I was.
Yeah, every time you go
Yeah.
backwards, your mic is get picked up
I
as
just
well,
like I really enjoy the motion.
Chair.
Then push your chair in more and then rock back.
I
and
feel
forth,
like an
so it's
old
less-
man. Old man Jeffy, yeah, what he used to be. Sorry, go on.
Oh, okay.
You just like my
Yeah, I really
singing
like
voice.
this change. One thing I will say for my Ellie players out there, I see you, I feel you, and I vibe with you. I would love to see, if not this update, but future updates that allow you to, or maybe like revert some of the graphical culling that they've done in the past. Particularly for magical classes, because those are like where your visuals should be. That's where you feel the impact, and like things like meteor shower, geyser, phoenix.
Meteor
various
shower
spell
got
effects
so
that used to
nerfed.
have.
Oh
And,
dear.
you know, they used to have like a really good visual impact to it,
Yeah.
and they had to cull it away because they didn't have these
That's a good
settings
point.
available. I would love to see some more visual upgrades to older spell effects, so that we can, like, I don't know, feel a little bit more impactful when playing those classes.
Proof's talking about going back the other way. I love it.
Yeah.
Because now we've got this. That's a very good point.
Hmm.
Okay. Any other? We are going to zoom a little bit, but like any other important points, things to think about? World v World's in there. There's a new infusion weapon set. that stuff is kind of just like, yeah, added anyway, I guess. But I guess World v World
I think it's good.
doesn't always get stuff rewards added all the time, but
It's great. A lot of what I hear about World v World is that people felt that a lot of the rewards are underwhelming. Like there are a lot of good things that you can get, and there's specific things that you can get for like legendary crafting and other things, right? But I think compared to like other spreads and other content, that was something that has been of concern. So it's nice to see them add this, as well as incentivizing players, like not just to do achievements, not just to pursue a passive mastery track, but that there are specific enemies on the maps that if you go and you do these assaults, you attack these keep lords, they have a chance of drawing it, which I think incentivizes players even more, especially because it's tradable, to be able to be like, hey, I could look at this as a way for me to farm something of value.
very good point. Very good point. Yeah, it does encourage you to. I wish there was more stuff to encourage the siege part of World v World a little bit more, because I really feel like that. I don't know. I miss
You
that
like the
part.
PV door aspect a lot.
I think I like the idea of like big armies. Like, you know, if you play Cyrodiil on ESO, like sieging a castle is really a lot different. Like you have a lot more siege actually going off. You have a ton of catapults.
Well, they tried to
huge.
incentivize that recently. They added the you get rewards for defending places.
Yeah, I haven't really. Is it impacted World v World much? Or?
I think it had. Well, for a while it definitely did when it first came out, because the rewards were very, very, very good. And I think it's carried on though after they nerfed the rewards a bit.
I've been in there for a while. In all honesty, I'll have to check it out. Okay, anything else here? Because we've still got There's a
So
lot.
I'm doing a World v World stream
You are.
after this podcast for 24 hours with the Brotherhood of Blob Guild on Pike Square. You can jump onto their Discord and they're giving away precursors and things like that. I play a lot of World v World because I'm getting my legendary armors through there.
How long are you going for?
and
today?
it's-
I might join you.
It's good.
Might come and
On
might come.
Pike.
You're on PyCon in the EU. I can switch servers. It doesn't matter about me, does it? Because I don't World v World, so I might join you. Oh yeah. Also,
Come on,
remind me.
darling.
I'm gonna raid you after this, but so you're gonna have to go, and then I'll wait, and then I'll raid you. Cool. Awesome.
It's okay. No, it's okay. You don't have to. You
No,
don't have
I
to
will.
do that. It's okay.
No,
It's gonna happen.
no pressure to get your stream up really quick.
Okay.
She just wanted 20 minutes to rest.
No rest. No rest for the wicked. I'll just keep the stream
Well, I'm
going.
glad I
with
just
music.
went for a pee, guys. That's great news. Thank you very
You
much.
can pee during the stream. You can just go, well, like not while you're, yeah. Okay, let's listen to
I'm
someone
not
who
doing it in
isn't
the
peeing.
seat. I'm just like, I just confirm. Anyway.
Okay,
June 27th, Cantha-themed Fractal Dungeon and Profession Balance Update.
that's what I'm gonna do if I ever want anyone to be quiet. I'm just gonna play my husband's voice because everyone just being quiet. It's great.
New Fractals of the Mist content is just around the corner, but you're going to need to wait a little bit longer to hear the juicy details. However, we did want to share a quick note on how we're approaching its design. When we started development on the new Fractal, we took some time to review the feedback from our last Fractal release, Sunqua Peak. One of the main themes in this feedback was that players prefer less waiting around and more action, especially when you're replaying the instance often. One of our goals for this upcoming release is to deliver a Fractal with a tighter gameplay experience while still providing story content as Fractals do. The challenge mode is scheduled for the following update, so we can tune the encounter and address any bugs stemming from the normal version. As for the balance update, here's what we're looking to address. Improving the feeling of moment-to-moment gameplay for many boon support builds. We want these builds to have more flexibility in their utility skill choice and not be required to press a particular utility type on cooldown to provide quickness or alacrity. Introducing alternate playstyles for some specializations, including quickness support, Deadeye, and damage builds for Druid and Tempest. Tuning up some underutilized weapons and solidifying their roles within their professions. For example, we're looking at further defining Ranger Sword as a mobile power damage weapon. Removing additional skill type specific recharge reduction traits and rolling the reduction into baseline skills where it makes sense to do so. The goal of these changes is to give players more interesting trait options to choose from. We're excited to see what new builds get unearthed after the update goes live.
Cool. Someone go with
Period.
it. Someone who's first. Who's going to talk first about it?
Clock that T.
I don't know what that means.
There was a pause between quickness support and Deadeye in the read through, but there's one thing together: is quickness support Deadeye. And I'm looking forward to them implementing that because Deadeye needed quickness support. I think
It's a fair
good.
criticism.
It's
He doesn't
good for
play the
these.
game.
I was like, damn, not you coming for this person who doesn't play Guild Wars 2.
Hey,
You were like, there was a pause there. We need to keep that tighter.
I would like to say he's done a fantastic job. But yeah, quickness support
yeah.
Deadeye would be great. It's one of the things that Thieves missing. Thieves missing good support builds. That Spectre's got alacrity support. It could be tuned a little bit better. But Deadeye is the perfect place to put quickness support. And I think that's great that they're going to do that.
Love it.
And more Jade in the Fractal. We've been getting a lot of Jade. Not gonna lie. Not to be jaded, okay? But, it's a lot. It's a lot. But,
It's good to have a themed Fractal around an expansion, though, right?
well, yes, but Jade?
Well, but this makes me so curious because we've talked for a long time, right, about how could they tie something like Fractal content more to the story, right? Or how could they parallel more? I mean, even if you're not going to literally be like, oh, you do this thing and it's a dungeon like it's a dungeon conventionally in any other MMO, and then you just repeat it using the time power of the mists. I mean, you could even have something fascinating where you go to a historical site and then that like triggers something in the mists that gives you more information and is parallel with the story, and then you relive that or you learn something about some place on that map or in that story beat. So I like that this is Canthan themed, and it does make me wonder, especially because they're saying like you're not going to hear the juicy details. I wonder if they might be tying it closer to the story. Now, there's not a ton to like specifically support that here, but I think otherwise, like the feedback, the information, kind of having an idea of the setting here, I think all of it sounds really positive, and I'm just so happy to see another Fractal. It's been so long, and it's such a great type of content.
I have a question. Do you think, so also in that they said that they're going to try to iterate or like change up some boon support builds that use specific things, like for example the Spectre with the wells, you get all your alacrity from wells, maybe diversify that, but yeah, spears, exactly. So do you think they're going to use that to, because the Ranger and Warrior have that issue where the alacrity on Ranger and the Warrior and the quickness on Warrior come from core trait lines, and because of that you can't really add the other boon to those classes as shareable things. Do you think they're going to use this as a way to change that, take it off of spirits, put it somewhere else in an elite spec?
I hope so. I would love to see alacrity be fused into druid. I think it makes the most sense in terms of its playstyle and its celestial avatar form. But not to say that I don't think alacrity and quickness can't exist on core professions. I mean, we have it on Guardian, and
well, it does. I'm just saying that because it does, they can't give them the other boon.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah. I'd be
unless
technically
they give the other boon
and alacrity.
Yeah, well, yeah. Unless they give but not to share. You can't share it.
You can share quickness. You can share alacrity.
Both at the same time.
It's a shout.
Oh, that's not the same thing.
But I'm saying it's like the same thing.
No, that's like.
I see what you're saying. In terms of the amount of alacrity and quickness that these professions get, I would love to see them more.
Yeah. They could do it
to elite specs.
If they stick it in the core spec, they could do it by giving that same core spec a different Grandmaster choice that gives quickness instead
that
of
would destroy every other profession, because that's the one thing they said they didn't want to do.
I know. But no, but it would still be a choice between alacrity and quickness, right? Because
it would have
one
to be
Grandmaster
on the
choice is
same trait line.
on the same.
Do you want to have like your
Oh
balanced discussion on your own like time? Because we have got loads of stuff to get through in like 12 minutes, like or so. So I want to try and like I love the discussion.
We could jump to expansion 4 after this.
Okay.
We could. I mean, there's a few things to touch on the core game updates, but we did talk about that a bit. Infrastructure improvements. I mean, the graphical updates we should definitely at least mention, but Yeah, I mean, I think we could just kind of
Yes.
lightly skim these. I don't think we need to listen to the full
The
readings of
entire
them.
thing. No,
Yeah.
no. Okay, let's skip. So, yes, Camphor themed Fractal. Thank God we're getting a new Fractal. It's been 12 years. It's good. Good job.
And with a CM for it. So that'll be coming out shortly after.
Long range development initiatives. Lots of fun stuff here. Core game updates. The Alliance visual filtering. What else was here as well?
Core game updates, a rework of an existing core game reward system that they say they're not going to be going
that's
into
true.
anytime soon, but want to mention it so that we're not freaked out when we don't get core game updates.
Right. The Switch from 9 to 11 DirectX wise. Oh yeah, they're working on a near-term focus is to knock out any new bugs and crashes related to upgrade, finishing updating our art production pipeline to DirectX 11. That's going to be fun to see what they can do with moving on with DirectX 11, i.e. coding and the rest of the game. Because that was a big piece of work. There's so much to go through there. And the Chromium embedded framework, etc.
This is really where I think we'll get to start actually seeing how this impacts everything, right? Because as of right now, we just like kind of know that it's existed. Some people may have had better or worse performance depending on like within the cycle, because it was kind of rough at the start when it was transitioning over. But at this point, I think the vast majority of things have been ironed out, and to actually get to see them make use of it moving forward, because I imagine there was a lot of stuff we get the impression from that, you know, DirectX 9 just wouldn't allow them to do. So I'm really curious, especially hearing about how in other games like who are kind of doing similar graphical updates and shifts right now, that they're able to render more objects, have special lighting effects, put more sources of lighting, do all sorts of different things. I think that this is really something that we're going to start seeing from here on out really paying off.
Okay, so World v World stuff as well. There's still the alliances as well, bits and bobs. I think they're trying to get the they're doing the first multi-week world restructuring beta test, which is a big deal because we get to see what this feels like over the course of many weeks. Like, this is going to be the actual like introduction to the system, how it's going to work, how we move from week to week, what that's going to look like, potentially maybe rewards, all this kind of stuff. That would be good. Yeah, so that's exciting. I think that's going to be cool. Really hope this gets out the door soon. Honestly, it's just been this really like they need to get this done. They really do. I know it's a big work, like it's a big work in progress, but since they've announced this, it's just like this is, whew, damn. They need to, yeah. Anyway, let's go on to expansion 4. We know alliances has always been a thing, you know. You're going to be talking about it for another year, probably. Expansion 4.
I said this to somebody, I said this to WP when we were talking about it, and I'll say it here again. They are taking a long time for it, but I think it's a good thing that they're taking a long time for it, because for people to buy into alliances, it'll be all player based. All the players are going to be making the alliances. And you need people to buy in. So for people to buy in, it has to be near perfect. So they're doing their best, and I hope they end up doing their best before releasing it.
I mean, the community is disbelieving that it's ever going to happen at this point, because
that's
it's
the
just
problem.
taken so long to get out of the
Yeah, I think I'm voicing the World v Worlders that I know and their feelings on that one. Okay, so this chug. Oh, go on.
I was gonna say, I would just remind everybody that it functions. Like, before they actually started doing these betas, right? I mean, that's where I would be like, it's never going to happen. But, I mean, we have seen the vast majority of the work theoretically done. We've seen it function, at least in limited periods. So, I mean, I'm buying in with Boots. I'm saying they're trying to really get it perfect so that players have a great experience when it launches, and that they have the best shot at revitalization of energy in World versus World and engaging new people getting into it. And I think they're doing a lot of other stuff to support that, including increasing the World versus World rewards and other, you know, things they're talking about how they want to sort of tackle stuff in the game mode. So I think it's good. I agree that it's slow. I really do think that it probably should have been out by now. it would have been really nice, but I wouldn't say like it's never happening because it's there and the work is there and we literally have been able to test it multiple times. It's just slow to actually become implemented into the game.
I think I know where Fornax is coming. I'm just gonna say a quick point. I think the problem is that it's 10 years of the game and World v. World has just hardly seen anything at all in comparison to the other modes. That I get that almost jaded or lack of just feeling of like, we've been promised this thing for so long, and it's just like that. It's more pessimistic, I think, than anything. It's like if we don't, it is almost that feeling. If we don't kind of G ourselves up, we won't get too excited about it, and we can just create the content we're doing, like Fornax is doing with their event right now, right? Which is good. Like that kind of stuff can happen. So I get it, I empathize with World v. World peeps, but like at the same time, hopefully,
They desperately want it. They desperately want the love, the attention, but they haven't had a new map since what, Heart of Thorns?
Yeah.
Not even a cosmetic map that doesn't change anything, but just lets them experience what it's like to explore a Canthan map or one based on any of the places that we've gone to visit. You know, Path of Fire, nothing.
And it's one of the biggest areas in the game where people congregate as well. Like it actually makes little sense to me that doesn't get some kind of visual update.
It's also like an underutilized monetization point. People would like to be able to like throw down Siege that looks unique and interesting and different. People would like to be able to differentiate themselves and their kind of commitment to the game with the bragging rights type of attire that PvE players have. There's just nothing apart from a few skins for their mounts.
Maybe we could have a World v. World stream. I'm going to try and get some World v. World folks, I think, on for a proper... I'm going to go into some PvP and World v. World specifics, I think, in future for sure.
But you know what we do have, BB? An expansion for teaser.
Okay.
Good transition.
So... we already know what to expect for the expansion at this point, but we'd be remiss not to include it in this list. This is one of our top priorities right now, and each day the team is hard at work bringing a new part of Tyria to life, complete with a whole lineup of fearsome baddies for the commander to beat up, now that the Elder Dragons are no longer viable punching bags. Here's a small taste of what we're looking up. We're looking up them. Okay, so let me just grab this for you all, so you can see it on the stream as well. This is actual live drawings from Grouch. Grouch did these and put them into the blog post. Yeah, didn't you know? You didn't know that? The Grouch is like
he a concept
scribblings.
artist?
Yeah, he used to be a concept artist and everything. Yeah, didn't you know?
You're messing with us.
You're a bad
What
liar,
are you
Jebro.
talking about? I'm always telling the truth.
You're a terrible liar.
All right.
Of course I'm lying. Josh is not artistic in the slightest. I love you, Josh. I'm just fucking. Josh is a good friend of mine. It's okay. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't give me crap for that. Suddenly, I'm just ejected from the Discord, and Jebro has been removed from the partner program. No. What do we think about
Let's
this?
talk though.
Yeah, you have 3 minutes.
3 minutes. What?
This does feel like a Rorschach test in terms
Well,
of like,
I mean, I can go for a while longer. Like, it depends. How long can people go for? I don't mind. It's up to you, though.
I have
That's a very personal
maximum
question,
30 minutes.
bro.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, these are very cool. I love it. I mean, there's so many ways they could take this. I love the kind of abstraction. I personally always think that pushing stylized designs is just so interesting and so iconic. And to me, the moment I saw these, I was like, this is a look, kind of like the Jade bots. When we first started seeing all the Jade technology and the Jade bots, I was like, that is a look. And in my head, when I imagine End of Dragons, when I imagine Cantha, when I see that, and I love this kind of thing here. I mean, obviously we have all the Oni, we have demons. I've seen in other games these kinds of shapes be sort of almost like, I don't know, raw elemental like entities or magical entities, those sort of abstractions, or I have no idea, and I'm sure that Fornax has way more of an idea than me, but I love this.
Well, I mean, it kind of gave me a vibe of Cairn the Indomitable from Bastion of the Penitent.
Yeah.
I feel like with what's going on the map, I think they're going to be some sort of bastardized hybrid of either like Jid bots corrupted by the demonic magics going on, or the void magics. Yeah, I feel like there's some sort of corrupted construct that's linked to the demons, and maybe, I mean, it could even be like the vanguard of the demonic army led by Kanaxai, and the nightmares from that realm that are kind of seeping into our own.
I just like
thoughts.
that playing this game for so many years, I can start to see the silhouettes of all the rigs that they have. Like I see Minotaur rig, I see Char rig, I see Earth Elemental rig, which is great because it's reutilizing the rigs that they currently have. But then we have some of these other ones which are a little bit more interesting, like the top right with like this very strange shoulder spiky, almost like a glyph type magical thing. But yeah, I also was getting like jade constructs from Karen, or the jade constructs from season 3, from the one kind of like in the middle. There's like these white spacings that almost look like eyes, and just the jade constructs we got in season 3 looked very similar to that. So that's just where my mind went to. But I would love to see like actual shadowy demons in addition to like hard rock material. I think it could be a quite interesting army to go up against.
It would be so awesome if they were titans, but titans are always three-legged, at least in the traditional lore. So it would be nice if we've kind of like, you know, accidentally tripped into Abaddon's realm, and this is the void that's coming through. These are the demons that are coming through from the top.
Yeah,
that would
I
be
mean,
awesome.
there's that
personally.
Abaddon, that possible Abaddon. I've heard other people like reference Abaddon feelings here, and yeah, I could see, like you're talking about the Titans. I could definitely see these being something kind of similar. I mean, that foundry and like entities being made. I mean, yeah, I get a feeling of that. I also like the idea though of like bastardized jade constructs. I think that's a really interesting concept too. So I don't know exactly yet. We don't even know what material they're made out of because it is just such a blank thing, although it looks like bits of rock and stuff.
It's actually bubble gum.
Yeah. I would say, in regards to the jade constructs, I do think it'd be a kind of a risky move for the next expansion, considering we just came from an expansion that introduced so many jade materials. So I would want it to be different in that sense, so that we have a new enemy model and a new enemy vibe to go up against. But I think that could be a possibility. Maybe like a more stripped back version of it instead of super techy.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna.
I will say someone mentioned Menzies, as in Balthazar's brother, because there should be consequences for us ending his existence. There should be consequences for like Crocatoric going rampage through the mist. Is this one of them? Like the breaking down of the barrier between the realms? Is this the consequence of that? And I feel like there should be more damage to the world than there is. And I feel like we should actually be like running around like blue-ass flies trying to tamp down on the destruction that we'd wrought during our, you know, penchant for dragon slaying. Yeah? I feel like things feel a bit too settled, and I feel like there's a shit ton of mess that we have made that we should be actually actively like cleaning up right now.
Yeah, I can.
I don't know what these are or what they're gonna be, but I can tell you this much. Looking at them and the way some of them are shaped, I really hope that they are enormously tall. Like we only get up to about their shins, maybe at the most. And no, even less than that, like their feet. And that they move very ominously slowly, but then suddenly like teleport places.
Be interesting.
Yeah.
I also get a vibe from them kind of like, I think because of my WoW on the mine recently. Yeah, kind of alien-like, but they remind me a bit of Mists of Pandaria, the Shah. They had like the like Oni kind of equivalent, or these like malevolent coalescences. And they kind of remind me a little bit of that. But yeah, I mean, I think they would be so impactful if they were really big. I think that if they're enemies, they're going to be just like mob entities, right? But to get one that was colossal as one of those capstone bosses would be pretty cool.
They do have a minion vibe, I have to admit.
They do.
Mm.
I'm going to end the stream there, I think. I think we're good.
Okay.
I'm also, my other PC, which my stream PC, is also having a bit of a fit. So I've got to go and fix that. So that's going to be fun. So endless fun PC issues. Hopefully they're fixing next week. So because next week we're going to be doing the CM dungeon, finally, which is actually the next part of our story playthrough. Because that's where we are actually. So no one needs to level past 43 or 5 or whatever. And that's where we'll pick up next week. So we'll just do that dungeon unless there's anything big that comes out for next week. And we'll see who's about for that. Otherwise...
Hey, remember the Colossus from the Fractal?
Yes.
I'd like to have a story about that.
Excellent. That's
I
very
agree.
good.
I agree.
I mean, okay, I am excited for the story that we do have coming, no matter what it is. This, honestly, the blog post, I think we all said it at the start, but let's reiterate it before we actually hit the very end here. There's so much information in here, and there's so much really good stuff. And I'm really excited. I'm glad that we have a release to look forward to here at the end of this month. And then we have question mark at the second half and the end of the year, but hopefully an expansion, and hopefully very, very soon we're going to get answers to a lot of the questions that this blog post even posed for us. So I'm excited. I can't wait, and I'm looking forward to seeing this shift in the expansion content, because I think there's been so much good stuff already, and there's only more to come.
Excited stuff indeed.
I agree.
Excited stuff. Okay. Anyway, we're going to bugger off. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Make sure you go and check it out. Twitch.tv/JebroUni is where one of the VODs are. The others are on YouTube.com/JebroUni as well. Podcasts, if you do ! podcast in the live chat, you can find out what's going on there. You can also do it when we're offline, so you can find out where it is. Anchor.fm/JebroUni as well is where the podcast stuff is. If you want to check out everyone's links, I'm just doing an outro for everyone. The Lightbringers podcast is awesome. Go and check it out. In the description below, you're going to be able to find everyone's links to their YouTube channels, their Twitch, whatever it is. And there you can filter out all their all stuff. I'm going to do a little mini outro for Kroof. Kroof is awesome, legendary, does lots of movements, also has a YouTube channel, which is very good. So go and check it out because they have a great voice as well. Fornax, same, epic voice. Looks amazing, doesn't like showing their camera face, but does have an amazing husband as well called Shaq, who looks like a boss in the game apparently. I haven't seen them, I don't know if it's true. Boots wears sandals, doesn't even wear boots.
Does have tentacles, can confirm.
Oh, has tentacles. Is that Boots or Shaq? Or is that both?
Good for you.
Boots doesn't wear boots, has sandals, also has a YouTube channel, loves adventures. You won't beat them in the timer on the leaderboard, especially if you party with them. They might come behind you. And well, that sounded interesting, and I'm not sure I meant that, but Boots is amazing. Go check out his YouTube stuff. Rookery is Rookery. What else can you say about them? Please go and check out all their stuff as well. They're doing an amazing amount of commentating in World of Warcraft areas as well as the other games, Final Fantasy. They like PvP, pew pew pew. Don't get them in playing Mercy though in that Overwatch, because they will get shirty. Thanks so much for watching the Lightbringers podcast.
we need Jebro to freestyle more often.
Goodbye.
Hi guys, I
That
just
is-
turned shirty. It's my shitty 30s.
That is what I do on stream.
love being
I don't
shirty.
plan anything. Oh, shirty, you have to look that one up because it might not mean what you think it is. It's a compliment. No, actually, it's not. It is,
It's
maybe.
boy.
not a compliment. No, it's not. It means you're a bit aggro, darling.
I know, it means you just get, well, hey.
Like,
I mean, like, you know.
What's the fight? Let's go.
Thanks, Jebro. You know, I think
I didn't know. I meant like,
no
not shirty. I just meant like, you know, you get animated.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. It's been so great. Fornax is in tentacles. Boots is always going to come behind you. I'm sure. I don't know. You didn't seem to insult Kroof, so.
Oh, I like Kroof the most.
Can't
That's
insult
why.
what is perfection.
Oh, wow.
Or myself. Didn't insult myself. Everyone, thanks so much. See you soon. Take care. Bye bye.